Johnson.
Matt Damon.
Matt
So
Damon.
two-man back row fantasy show today. The stream is live and running. It is. It's live and it's running. Thanks for joining us. Dan will be free in 20 if that's cool. I think that'll be cool. So Hux is
I think Glendale.
not available to us tonight,
Of course you're not, Hux, you piece of crap.
but we're still going to have some fun, guys. Still going to make it fun.
I wish I could find who shared that. I found the tweet, but I wanted to find which one of our followers shared it.
That's a weird headphone feeling right there. Tell you what now. Let me tell you what now. So, since we're not actually recording, Arms, how have you been?
I don't think anybody cares who might be watching.
Arms, how have you been?
I've been all right.
You what?
I've been all right. Been all right. Catch me outside. How about that?
She's a star.
She is a star.
She is a superstar.
If only I were a juvenile delinquent. Whenever I were juvenile.
You were back in your day.
Yeah, but it wasn't really delinquent. Delinquents get caught.
This is true.
I did a lot of stuff I really shouldn't have. But most of it was real. I mean, obviously, 15 on up is a juvenile. But most of it was really from that 15 to 18 time frame.
Right. Cool.
And then after that, I wasn't a juvenile, so let's not get into that.
Yeah.
Terrible person.
Have you watched the newest Dave Chappelle skit? Like the newest Netflix special, newest Dave Chappelle?
Sticks and Stones?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude. Oh.
Dude, I love Dave Chappelle.
Oh man, me too. He's just he was on fire. I haven't watched the whole thing, but when he was talking about the Michael Jackson stuff, which he's done a bunch, but he's just like you know, he's like no such thing as good 36-year-old.
Like I love whenever he's like, if you're Michael Jackson and you're a pedophile, you got Macaulay Culkin around. He's the cutest kid in the world.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, don't go there, Dave.
He went there.
He went all the way there.
He went all the way there.
He's like, you gonna be bragging to your pedophile friends? Like, Dave, shut up, man.
Yeah.
I feel bad for laughing.
No, he didn't care. He did not care at all.
Yeah, no, he's ruthless. But that's what makes him a great comedian.
Oh yeah.
Like,
well, and the fact that you actually know that he is not hateful. Like it's comedy.
it's comedy.
comedy.
But I also don't think that he doesn't mean it. You know what I mean?
I don't think
Like,
he means it.
I don't know, man.
I think he just like because I think of funny stuff like that sometimes. Like I think of funny stuff that would be offensive, and I don't mean it, but I'm like, but it is funny,
Yeah, but I mean, it's his presentation. You know what I mean? That's what's
Yeah.
perfect for him about him. Like, even if he is serious, dude, it's hilarious the way he presents it.
Weird ass jumpsuit that he wore though.
Yeah.
It's like almost V-necked, just his chest. I'm like, what the hell are you wearing,
Good
Dave?
for him.
What are you wearing, Dave?
I remember whenever he just bailed and like, man, that was like, what, 02 whenever he quit doing comedy?
Was it that long ago?
It seems like it was. I feel like I was in high school whenever he quit.
Let's see. Chappelle Show.
There's no way. Maybe it was like 08.
Chappelle Show from 2003
Okay.
to what would have been 2006?
2006?
Yeah.
Where did I guess I've hung out with the same group of people for that whole time frame, so it felt like we were in high school, probably because we acted like we were in high school.
Yeah. Well, reliving the glory days. Jackson lost. That kind of sucks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was it close?
I don't know. My wife told me Jackson lost. I'm sure my kid, like it's one of those inside jokes, like the band is like, God, I hope we lose. Like, 'cause it's really cold. Don't want to keep playing. This sucks kind of thing. I am eager to talk about last night.
I watched
not,
the
not
whole.
until we hit record, but I
I watched
am
the
eager,
whole game.
definitely eager to talk about it.
I watched. I'll be honest with you. At one point, the announcers said Tom Brady said, "Well, I'm turning off Thursday Night Football," or just tweeted, "I'm turning off Thursday Night Football," and I'm like, "Fuck, I can't blame him."
No, it's hard for a 42-year-old man to watch that kind of violence.
Well, he was probably getting tired.
Oh yeah, probably that too.
Yeah, I mean he's getting up there in age.
Tom Terrific?
Mason Rudolph, after failing to remove Myles Garrett's helmet, I'm in danger.
Yeah, he's definitely in danger. He looks like such a baby, doesn't he?
He does.
His face, he's got a baby face.
No, he has like the most punchable face.
Oh, he's got a punchable face. And I'm not saying I condone. Let's get into the show.
Let's go.
That's too much fun to talk about, to be honest. Okay, so I've got all these channels muted. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Today on the Back Row Fantasy Show, we talk Week 11 starts and sits. We talk about that atrocious helmet swing last night and more coming up on the Back Row Show starting now.
Welcome to the Back Row Fantasy Show with your hosts Jeremy Barker and Aaron Arms.
Well, hello there and good evening to everybody. It's Bark of the Back Row Fantasy Show, and to my left is Aaron Bartholomew Arms.
Top of the morning to you. Good morning.
Top of the morning. So, we started talking on the live stream about some of the events from last night, and we're like, wait a minute. We have got to hit the record button, because where we left off before hitting record was Mason Rudolph has a punchable face.
An extremely punchable face.
Dude definitely has a punchable face.
I am absolutely not condoning hitting someone with a helmet. Like, come on, man. But
Not at all.
heat of the moment.
Yes.
2-on-1 at that point. Like, Rudolph is. People keep saying he kicked him in the balls. I don't know. Maybe it was a forcible. I really couldn't. I saw no angle. And I saw several different angles of it. I saw no angle to where it looked like he was forcibly kicking him in the balls. But he was trying to pull off Myles Garrett's helmet.
Listen, yeah, but okay, so where this started for me after seeing the whole thing go down and watching it over a few times was Myles Garrett drove him into the ground and did not get up. Like, he drove him into the ground and he kind of toddler rolled him. You know, your girls get into a fight. My boys get into a little fight on the ground. My toddler doesn't let go. He just rolls and digs his head in there and tries to really piss off my 6-year-old. So Myles Garrett takes him down, drives him into the ground. Didn't drive him into the ground particularly hard because it was a struggle before they went down.
Yeah.
But Myles Garrett wouldn't let the heck go. He did not let go. So, long story short, Mason Rudolph should have been ejected from the game. I know there was like next to no time left, or maybe suspended for a game because he got up and came at Myles Garrett. So that's...
Well, first off, why was he pulling at Myles Garrett's helmet if he wasn't trying to start something?
I think he was like, get off me.
No. See, I viewed it a different way. It looked like he was trying to, for lack of a better way of putting it, be a dick. Like, he was trying to, like, yeah, you're going to get off me, man. That kind of attitude. Like, you think you're bad because you sacked me, or you think you sacked me? I don't even have the ball. Get off me. Get off me. Get up.
Now don't turn off the show, because on the flip side, I mean, Mason Rudolph should probably be suspended a game,
Absolutely.
Right?
He went after him, as you said.
And Myles Garrett deserves the indefinite rest of season suspension.
So we're at, what, 6 games left? That's appropriate.
Yeah, well, I mean,
They ain't gonna make playoffs.
it wouldn't upset me if he was suspended some more. That was, I mean,
Vontaze Burfict has the highest for in-game action suspension. It's 12 games. After that, it's 5. Also, Vontaze Burfict
owns like 3 of the top
Yeah.
5 or 6. But you agree with me that, it doesn't matter if you start something. It's also how you react. And Myles Garrett, just absolute. It was unspeakable.
Now-
he swung that helmet and cracked Mason Rudolph in the head. The thing we don't talk about, Mason Rudolph didn't even flinch somehow. Probably adrenaline.
Well, he got buckled
he's
a little
ugly.
bit.
He's ugly. I mean, you don't hurt ugly. I mean, have you been hit in the head?
But doesn't he look like...
Didn't hurt you. I know it didn't.
Yeah, of course not. Look at the size of this thing. But he looks like... I've never met the guy. I've actually never heard Mason Rudolph talk. He just... The look that he carries, he looks like he is a arrogant frat boy. Like, that's what I see whenever I see Mason Rudolph. And I'm like...
He looks like the lower... he looks like the heir to a very small mafia throne. Like, he just, looks like kind of...
Like the Underdingo family or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Like, he's the baby face one. Like, if his nickname was baby face, like, I'd be like, oh, yeah, makes sense. Cool.
Babyface Rudolph.
Babyface Rudolph leading the mafia sleigh.
So, Rudolph with your helmet not so tight.
Hey,
Won't you
Rudolph.
admit you started that fight?
Rudolph with your helmet not tight. Myles Garrett's going to kill you tonight.
Now here's the one I'm upset. Well, I mean, what did Marquise Pouncey get? 2 games? 1 game? 2 games?
I didn't see that yet, so I'm
Marquise
curious.
Pouncey needs to have a rest of the season suspension as well. Like, not only did he kick Myles Garrett in the ground whenever someone else was laying on top of him, and Garrett is not moving, not trying to get up.
And again, you're not taking up for Garrett, correct?
No.
Yeah, we're just talking.
I'm not
the
taking up for
situation
Garrett. Like, that was stupid.
player by player.
Absolutely makes sense. Like, and I get protect your quarterback. I get it. You didn't protect him the rest of the night, though. But anyhow,
Right.
you're kicking Myles Garrett in the head, and then he sprawls out and starts punching him in the head. Like, if you don't give, I mean, he is trying to hurt realistically a defenseless Myles Garrett. Where's the outrage in that? I haven't heard hardly anybody say anything about it.
Well, no, and that's because Myles Garrett's acts overshadowed him.
I agreed.
That's the sad thing. Myles Garrett did something so unspeakable that he overshadowed anything the Steelers could have done. So this, like when they look at the Steelers players, they're going back, yeah, he was in the wrong there, but it wasn't like Myles Garrett.
But he didn't swing a helmet and try to kill the guy. Which, with that
Exactly.
being said, everyone's like, well, what if he hit him with the crown of the head? Those helmets have give to them. It wasn't going to kill him. He doesn't have a soft spot. Although he looks like a baby.
People
he
have
doesn't
been
a
killed by
spot-
softer.
He doesn't have a soft spot on top of his head that's going to get him, Like,
But
yeah,
again-
it could have knocked him out.
Myles Garrett deserves everything he got.
The only punishment that the Steelers get from this is they have to play Mason Rudolph the rest of the season.
Yeah, he's not been very good.
Like,
It's
he's horrible.
unfortunate.
They're punishing the whole organization by keeping him, by letting him play.
Yeah. Someone I work with said today, like, man, it's ridiculous because the Steelers are so much better than the Browns. And I'm like, are they? I don't think they are. I think they're pretty evenly matched. They're 1 game apart. Honestly, I think the Browns are the better overall team. I think
agree. Right now.
The Steelers have a little better defense. The Browns, to me, have a little better offense. And I don't think the defense is that much of a downgrade over Pittsburgh's. I think the Browns are a little bit better, honestly. And I'm not saying the Browns are going anywhere, but I don't think the Steelers are either.
So one thing,
So suspend them all. They ain't gonna hurt anything.
yeah, nobody's making the playoffs. One thing that I took away from this game more than anything, and I haven't admittedly watched a ton of Steelers football this year. I've known Rudolph hasn't been doing really well, obviously, but man, it makes you appreciate how good Ben Roethlisberger is
Indeed.
at not necessarily evading a sack, but shrugging one off.
Oh man.
Because someone's hitting Myles Garrett with an arm and taking him down. Big Ben's like, no.
yeah.
And then stands tall in the pocket, delivers a 50-yard bomb.
Well, Ben would have caught that helmet in one of his hands and just drove his fist through Myles Garrett's skull. He's a man. He's 40.
Ben, first off, wouldn't have been in a situation to where he was being forced into the ground. Like, Ben falls so gently. Like,
That's true.
it's like taking down like a big giant tree, that has a bunch of branches. He just kind of comes down slowly, like, I'll
Right.
go down on my own terms.
His little throwback to the past, but Ben would have simply had his way with him. He would have just
I
had
don't
his
know
way
about
with
that.
Myles Garrett.
Garrett is a bad man.
Yeah,
But
he is. But hey, no. I have no sympathy for Myles Garrett. Number one, I have not a lot of sympathy for Rudolph. Shouldn't have got up and went at Garrett. Granted, Garrett definitely the main culprit here, but come on, Mason.
All right, so here's how I view it, and I'm man, it's like Rudolph to me looked like he started it. Okay,
I still think Garrett started it with that just rolling on him on the ground like, it's football.
I guess I didn't
him,
see that part.
Tackle him and get up.
Or didn't pay attention to that.
Watch it again. Garrett really spends an extended amount of time trying to play MMA.
Probably
with
just
Mason
talking
Rudolph.
crap. Like,
I don't know, man. He was rolling around. It's like he was trying to. I don't know.
he
It just
ain't
didn't
trying
look,
to hurt him.
Oh, really? He swung a freaking helmet at his
Oh,
head.
after that, he was trying to hurt him.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's just trying to, it's hard to say what Mason Rudolph is saying to him. Yeah, I mean, we also don't know that.
You're a public figure on live TV. Hold back.
I get it.
Like-
Mason Rudolph, don't get up and go after the guy that can kill you.
Yeah, do not. Not a
That's
good idea.
a terrible idea.
You almost lost your life last night.
Yeah, I mean, you made look like a little bee the rest of the game, the whole game before that. What, you're going to play badass now?
Maybe Myles Garrett was just like, I don't think we're making the playoffs. The Steelers could if I could take Rudolph out. Maybe they'd have a better chance. Like, I'm trying to do them a solid.
I still wonder why they got rid of Josh Dobbs at this point. It's like,
Man, I don't know.
Oh man,
And I hate it for Juju because like people were labeling him the biggest bust of the season. And while it's true, he did lose Ben Roethlisberger.
there's some pretty substantial busts, but Juju's probably right there.
Definitely a buy low.
Oh yeah,
I mean, Juju's a buy low through and through.
yeah.
I still love Juju's talent, but it's going to be a risk buying him. It depends on how much you spend, but it's still going to be a risk. Juju is a risk because Ben Roethlisberger comes back after this season and has lost something, or it is a little risky, but you got to take that chance.
But let me spin it a different way. All right, let's say that they end up in, let's say, 10-12 range for a pick. Okay, and there's a lot of talent this year in this draft.
Who are we talking about? 10 to 12 range for a pick?
The Steelers.
Miami owns that pick.
Oh, they do?
Yes, Minka.
Oh, wow, that kind of...
Yeah, this is why when the Browns won last night, I'm like, woo, Miami. Get
I didn't even think of that.
Spot up there.
Didn't even think of that. Never mind. That ruins my thought.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, man, think of what quarterback could be there for him. And they could always trade up, right? Or trade someone away to get a quarterback to replace Ben. Ben's career doesn't have a lot of time left.
No.
I mean, this year with the injury, you don't know how he's going to recover from that. I mean, he had surgery, if I'm not mistaken, and he was going to retire this year anyway. Like he almost didn't come back.
Didn't he just sign that 3-year extension before the
Extensions
season?
don't mean jack.
I know that they don't, but I mean,
Andrew Luck's under 5 more years. You know what I mean?
Pretty sure Ben said he's good. I mean, Ben's not the kind of guy that's going to get a concussion and walk away. Like, you can't concuss that noggin.
No, he
Can't
to me
damage
more
that.
than anything. After watching that, the game was unwatchable. It was a horrible game. On the stat sheet, it looked like a defensive struggle. To the eye test, it looked like two offenses that couldn't deliver the ball anywhere. I will say, the first half, Baker Mayfield looked comfortable.
Baker Mayfield is still. I saw somebody on Twitter. I can't remember who, and I'm sorry. Say that this is going to be an aberration in Baker's career, and I agree. I mean, he probably needed a little slice of humble pie this season, and he's still going to be. He is the franchise quarterback. I mean,
agree.
Yeah, this season has been rough,
Mm-hmm.
but he's going to grow into it. If Baker would have had this season in his rookie year, we wouldn't be so down on him.
Correct. Correct.
The expectations were so high after that rookie season that we expected
You
more.
had
We
him as your
expected-
number 2 quarterback.
Yeah, we expected 35 touchdowns from him this year instead of 26, 27?
27, I believe.
So, I mean, I'm not. Am I down on Baker? Yeah, absolutely. I've traded him amongst, along different leagues for probably less than I should have. But then again, quarterbacks in fantasy, it's not that
and they're
big of a
practically
deal,
interchangeable.
especially with Minshew mania and things like that out there. But
But you've got, in that game, you've got Baker's a buy low candidate. You've now got Juju's a buy low candidate. James Conner, I don't know what's going on with him.
it's just not that great.
He gets production, but he
he's
doesn't
solid.
stay on the field.
Yeah. I mean,
I would love to know on DraftKings how many people had like how many teams were basically eliminated? How many lineups were basically eliminated when Connor and Juju both went out? Because it happened quick.
Oh yeah, probably a lot. I've yet to dip into DraftKings this week. I'm gonna have to do that tonight after the show. But yeah, I don't know, man. Fantasy's been weird this season.
Speaking of weird, most reliable back in the league, one of the most reliable back in the league, Nick Chubb, had the quietest 92 yards I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's not catching any balls. Kareem Hunt is the primary pass catcher now. That's
2 weeks in a row, Kareem Hunt's outscored him.
because of the pass catching.
Yeah.
So is that a sign of things to come for the rest of the season?
I think so.
And it's not because, I mean, Kareem Hunt's not getting the carries, but he's getting the passing down work. And the thing I hate the most is Nick Chubb's capable of that passing
Nick Chubb's
down
a
work,
3-down back.
but they're saving him a little bit. For what, I don't know.
They're spelling him on the obvious passing situations because Hunt is good enough of a runner to still have the threat.
Right.
I mean, listen, Hunt. I'm not going to sit here and say Hunt's as good as Nick Chubb. I do think they're fairly even in talent. I've talked about that before. But man, is Nick Chubb going to be outscored by Kareem Hunt the rest of the season? I mean, if he takes over the Duke Johnson role.
No, I don't think it's going to be flat rest of season. They're going to trade back and forth games. I mean, Kareem Hunt's going to catch those 5 for 60 yards and get 11 points, whereas Nick Chubb gets 9.2 off 92 yards. That's going to happen. And sorry to go way off topic, but I'll answer one question now. We'll get into the others soon. But someone said Iron Man and Godzilla die. What a name! Give Driscoll, get Devontae Freeman. Yes, get Devontae Freeman. Don't
get rid of a guy who's going to play 2 or 3 games.
Well, he says 2 quarterback league doesn't matter. Driscoll for Freeman, yeah, go ahead and do it.
Unless Driscoll is your second
and
quarterback.
I hate Devontae Freeman.
You know what I mean?
As a football player.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go with the guy who's most likely a starter again next year.
Yes.
Most likely. I mean, obviously, we don't know what's going to happen, and depending on Brian Hill, of course.
You're welcome, Fantasyland, if you grabbed Brian Hill last week. I mean, I didn't want to predict injury, but Devontae Freeman doesn't exactly stay healthy these days, and Brian Hill's the best back on the roster. I said it. Yes, he is. Brian Hill's the best. Ray GQ of the Devy podcast, DDP, help me out here. Brian Hill's the best running back on the roster. Ito Smith, not that great.
Oh, I agree.
Devontae Freeman, breaking down. We're going to see that Brian Hill's the best running back on that roster over the course of the next 5 or 6 weeks.
And if he is,
pretty
good chance they draft a running back next year.
Oh, they'll draft a running back no matter how Brian Hill performs because they don't have any. I don't even, is Quadri Olison is the next man up? I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure who the next man up is in Atlanta. Maybe that's my fault, but Brian Hill, dude, start him this week. We'll throw starts in as we go. Brian Hill against Carolina. Carolina doesn't have a stout rush defense. Love Brian Hill this week, starting him over David Montgomery, which Montgomery's questionable, and it could come back to bite me. But Brian Hill is the pass catcher, the main ball carrier. David Montgomery can't say that in Chicago.
Hey, one thing, I'm glad you mentioned David Montgomery because that actually alludes to
I still love him.
Yeah, no. I'm just going to go into kind of a deep sleep type thing.
I'd love to take a deep sleep.
No, a deep sleeper type pick for whether it's DraftKings, if you're playing like your family league because it's the Sunday night game, or if you're desperate, Cordero Patterson. Like he's probably the number 2 running back.
Yeah, Mike Davis is gone.
Yeah, he's probably number 2 running back right now in Chicago.
Tariq Cohen would have a heck of a game if David Johnson set out.
I don't know about
David Montgomery.
But it's Trico and your goal line back. I know they'll give him a run or two, but you've got a 6'1", 6'2" guy who, I mean,
I don't know if Patterson's a goal line guy.
Hold on a second. He wasn't for the Patriots, yet he got the carries.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Like he's capable, so it's going to be an interesting play. It might be. It's a good flyer if you're set everywhere else and you're a little bit desperate at wide receiver. Like with me this week, I've got Adam Thielen, Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders' game time decision. Thielen's actually doubtful. So Cordero Patterson, I mean, that might be a play for me in one of my leagues.
Very possibly. I hope it is because I play you in our main league of record. But let's
you're going to have to outbid me on Cordero Patterson then.
No, I don't want him. Let's answer a few more quick ones before we move on. Contra from last week, Nintendo 64, Super NES Contra. He says choose a flex out of David Johnson, Hawkinson, Hunter Renfroe, Robbie Anderson. Hey, man, I don't like David Johnson this week. He looks slow, like you were saying earlier, Arms. Hawkinson, too inconsistent. Robbie Anderson, I wouldn't start him if my life depended on it. Hunter Renfroe, all day long.
I've got to go Hunter Renfroe. For me, it's Renfroe, then Hawkinson.
I think that's where I'm at.
Robbie Anderson, yeah, I just...
I'll start David Johnson before I start Robbie Anderson.
No,
if he's in the lineup.
Actually, I think David Johnson's my fourth in this whole selection.
No, he's my third.
He got passed on the depth chart. Kenyon Drake's starting, and Kenyon Drake's looking better. I mean, Kenyon Drake, I said it last week on the show, I think he's a better running back right now than David Johnson.
Right.
And, like, there's all over Twitter, there's videos of David Johnson running, and, like, he's slower than his lineman.
He's getting Devontae Freeman syndrome.
Something like that.
I mean, he's breaking down a little bit. So me and Arms both agree. Hunter Renfroe. Listen, Hunter Renfroe's a PPR guy. So if this is a PPR league, Hunter Renfroe's pretty much a lock for 4 to 5 receptions at a minimum.
And they're absolutely primed with the matchup.
What is the matchup?
Cincinnati.
Oh my God, Hunter Renfroe all day long. David Carr's gonna have a great game.
I agree.
So and then next. Contra, again, he loves asking these sit and starts. McLaurin or Devontae?
McLaurin.
Devontae. Adams? I
I'm
assume
sorry.
we're talking about Adams.
I'm thinking Parker.
If it's Parker, I'm going McLaurin too. But
Because if you're thinking Devontae Adams, this is a question versus Devontae Adams, maybe 3 guys in the league.
Wait, Devonta ends with an A, right?
There's Devontae Parker, Devonta Freeman, and Devontae Adams.
Well, this looks like Devontae Parker, I guess. It ends with an E. So, I mean,
listen,
I'll still go McLaurin.
Listen,
Even though I don't think he's going to do a ton, but they are supposed to move him around. They're supposed to play him at every position.
There's familiarity. Paul Richardson's out. Paul
Dwayne
Richardson's
Haskins
hold on
could
a second.
be familiar
hold
with
on a second.
Antonio Brown.
Dwayne
and it don't
Haskins
matter.
has to throw like 4 touchdowns a game to break that rookie touchdown record.
Not
I know it's not going to happen.
happening.
But listen, I'll be ecstatic if he finishes the season with 15.
Oh, that'd be one heck of a turnaround.
Listen, you picked the worst possible week to throw him as your starter.
Well, listen, he
Look at
has
their
not
schedule.
looked good, but you have to stick with him because he will get there. He will come along, and he will at least be. He will at least give them a reason to maybe not draft another one in 2020.
Yeah.
But if he keeps falling on his face,
Oh yeah, if he keeps falling on his face, we could be very well looking at another Josh Rosen, Kyler Murray situation.
Kyler Murray or Kyle Allen, it's Kyler Murray all day. Kyle Allen's been kind of nice with some of the yardage.
Hold on.
No.
They play the Niners.
No.
They do play the Niners. Just
Don't care.
Let's keep that in mind. I'm going to go with Kyle Allen.
No.
Why would you go with? Tell me why would you go with Kyler Murray against one of the best defenses in the league? Who, by the way, have already seen him. They saw him 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. Like to me, it's Kyle Allen all day against the Falcons, who have the most porous pass defense in the league.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
Kyle
this week.
Allen. Kyle Allen all day.
Listen,
That leads into fire up some Curtis Samuel this week for cheap on DraftKings.
We're on the back end of the season, especially fantasy wise. I have to go with that higher upside, and I don't care that they play the 49ers coming off a loss, by the way. I know it was a good loss. It was kind of like Alabama. They should be ranked number 1 because they had a great loss to a ranked team. Just kidding.
No,
but Kyler Murray, listen, he can get it done with his legs. Christian Kirk is healthy. You wanted to talk about Christian Kirk.
We want to talk about Christian Kirk.
He can find the soft spots in the 49ers
We're
defense.
going to talk about Christian Kirk whenever.
Okay,
Dan comes
that's
on, 'cause
fine.
I love
but
the way he says it.
Listen, to me, I don't care who the Cardinals are facing. Kyler Murray, even if he has a bad game, puts up fantasy points. And I don't trust Kyle Allen. Your worst case scenario is they score the exact same. Your best case scenario is Kyler Murray scores 15 more points than Kyle Allen.
But Kyler Murray, like, he's playing a defense that is like he's in a bad situation. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers allow, on average, 9.1 points to the quarterback. 9.1 fantasy points to the quarterback.
I don't care.
Now, did Kyler do much better than that against him? Absolutely. But
Listen.
I'm confident when you play someone twice, especially a team as good as the 49ers are this year, when you play someone twice, they'll figure them out. They're going to... I think Kenyon Drake is the start in Arizona this week, but I'm not starting Kenyon Drake if I can help it.
It can go Drake tore him up the first time.
I know, but once again, it's like playing someone for the first time. They didn't know what he was going to do, especially they didn't even know if he was going to be any part of that game plan. I think it was his first game as a Cardinal.
The point I was getting ready to make was, yeah, the Niners have seen Kyler Murray once, but Kyler Murray's seen them too. So, I mean, there's adjustments to be made on both sides of the ball. I know you didn't like him going into the season. Kyler Murray's a stud, dude.
Fantasy production, because he does so much with his legs.
Dude, he's having a good rookie season too.
Hold
Kyler
on.
Murray's having a good rookie season.
Where I'm going with this matchup is Atlanta's allowed 19 passing touchdowns this year. Okay? San Fran has allowed 8. So San Fran's averaging less than 1 a game. Atlanta is allowing more than 2 a game. Like, you got to go with the stats on this. Atlanta's defense is not good. They looked good last week.
I'm sorry. I just don't think the 49ers are going to be able to keep every quarterback to this low standard.
But they're not. But at the end of the day, they're going to hold most quarterbacks below their average production.
Even if they hold Kyler Murray below his average production's pretty awesome. So I don't know, man. I like Kyle Allen just fine, but he's not a league winner. He's not a guy that's going to get you to the playoffs on his own. Kyler Murray could. I mean, Kyler Murray's the number 6 quarterback overall in our league of record.
Yeah,
and
there's players on bye.
I get that.
I will guarantee you don't have it sorted by points per game because he's number 12 points per game.
Still, okay, a rookie, number 12 points per game.
He has a total of 12 passing touchdowns on the year.
That's not what's getting him his fantasy production right now.
He's not destroying the world on the ground. He had 193-yard game, a 69-yard game, and some 35-yard games.
He's mixing in a lot of things to get those
points.
He has
14 total touchdowns. Total. Like, stop giving me this, he is this great thing. My point is, the Giants held him to 10.5 points. The Saints held him to less than 15 points. The Niners is a freaking aberration.
Aberration.
Is it aberration?
Aberration. An aberration is something like history-wise.
Aberration. Okay, my bad. The what he did to the Niners is an aberration for what the Niners defense is. He's put up a quarter of the touchdowns the Niners have allowed. Let's keep this in mind.
Okay, let's look at it this way. So I'm going from week 3 on, okay? Week 3, when Kyle Allen was the starter. So Kyler Murray, since week 3, has averaged 27.5 points. Kyle Allen has averaged 20.8. Kyle Allen, over that span, has 2 single-digit outputs, a 9-point game and a 6-point game, and he has 3 20-point games and a 38-point game. Kyler Murray, 30, 20, 30, 40, 10, 14, not that great, 30, 40. I cannot justify playing Kyle Allen over Kyler Murray.
I'm looking at the matchup. That's how I'm viewing this.
I'm ignoring the matchup, and I'm going with the upside and the talent.
Kyler Murray is the 21st quarterback in the last 4 weeks.
Because two of his worst games came in the past 4 weeks, but 2 of his best games came in the past 4 weeks. So sorry, I'm not sitting him. I'm not sitting Kyler Murray unless my quarterbacks are Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes. That's pretty much it for me. I'm starting Kyle Allen. Kyler Murray, not Kyle. Too many Ks. I'm starting Kyler Murray unless I own one of those top 4 quarterbacks. and I'm not worrying about the matchup. You mean to tell me if you have a fantasy team in the playoffs, you're really going to start Kyle Allen?
No, what I'm saying,
Or a fantasy team pushing for the playoffs.
if I'm looking at the matchup and that is an elite defense versus an extremely porous defense, like if it's a question to you, if it's a question to the viewer, like I'm going to go with Kyle Allen. I just think the upside's better in this particular game. If they were playing the same team, I'll take Kyler Murray all day.
I don't know. I feel like we should place some kind of bet on this. That's what I feel like we should do.
Let's go.
Even if it's minuscule. Let's just go a simple $1.
I will tell you in the last 4 weeks, Kyle Allen's been hot garbage.
He has.
He's been worse.
He started out pretty hot.
He had to kind of go towards how good the Niners have been. He had a 6.5 point game against the Niners.
So here's the play. If Kyler Murray is victorious fantasy points wise, Arms owes me $1. Vice versa. Kyle Allen, I'll give you $1.
Deal.
It'll be in pennies, but I will give you $1. It'll be rolled. It will be rolled.
2 rolls.
3 rolls. I'm doing half. Thirds. Filling the tubes up a third of the way.
Just to be a dick. Just so I had to break them apart, re-roll them just to use them.
Absolutely. Luckily, only one more question before we get some more in a little bit. But David Montgomery, who's questionable, or Latavius Murray, it depends on the game time call. It's David Montgomery.
It has to
Obviously,
be David
if
Montgomery.
he's out,
Although
you
he's
go
not
Murray, but-
been. I mean, I like Dave Montgomery, but he's not
too.
been great.
No, not great. No, he has been
wanna say-
startable. He has been low end running back 2. If you look at the whole season, he's a low end running back 2.
I want to say that Dave Montgomery's like struggling mightily on the ground. Like, it's crazy.
He gets goal line carries, though. That helps.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty much falls into the end zone. But 466 yards on 129 carries. He's averaging 3.6 yards a carry, which is not great.
No, it's not great.
And I mean, if you take out, because I
If you
want to say
take out the goal line carries, he might be 3.9.
but he also had, if I'm not mistaken, he had like 2 big runs. I think it was against the Chargers.
Yes.
Yeah, so like you take those giant runs out. And if you're taking out the goal line runs, we take out the giant runs, right?
Let's but that's the game. That's the game we play. Dynasty Rob, we love Dynasty Rob.
Yes.
Dynasty Rob says beanie or toboggan. Toboggan. Aren't they the same
You're wearing
thing?
a beanie.
Aren't they the same thing?
No.
No?
Toboggans have the roll up.
Okay.
See, this is a toboggan.
Shows what I know.
You are wearing a beanie.
I don't wear them very often.
I prefer a beanie, but my wife got me this a few years ago. Had my name embroidered on it.
You mean after their last victory, right?
Dude, I have been a Raiders fan since I was 4.
All right, Neil. Okay.
Actually,
all righty, buddy.
So we're off topic entirely.
Fine.
Viewers. So I'll tell you why I'm a Raiders
Listeners,
fan.
viewers, yeah.
So I'm a Raiders fan because my uncle was a Raiders fan. All right. Why are you a Dolphins fan?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked.
Because you like terrible collars.
I am so glad you asked. Okay, so this is legit. This is true.
And by the way, we want to hear why you're a fan of your team.
Oh, my
so
God,
tweet
yeah.
at us
At the Back Row Show.
or put it on our stream here.
Yes, please. At the Back Row Show. Or if you want to find us on Facebook or Instagram, whatever. Let us know why you are a fan of the team that you are a fan of.
And
My
it's okay
story-
if it's just your hometown team.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Makes perfect sense. I should probably be a Bengals fan. That's the
We're
closest
Browns,
team
you
to
know.
us.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You know, I don't know about the Browns. So anyways,
We're a Ravens fan, whatever.
right. So my whole dad's side of the family, Bengals fans, except for my dad. He's a Packers fan. He was a Brett Favre guy.
And I can respect that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I totally understand it. So, but the rest of my family on that side, I'll name a few members here in a minute that aren't Bengals fans, but most of
Is your cousin Garner not a Bengals fan?
He's a Rams fan, actually.
Ooh.
I got a cousin named Garner. So he garners lots of attention on the internet.
Damn, I love that.
Okay, so I'm probably 8 or 9 years old. I'm at my father's. He lived in Dayton. I'm 2 hours away from Dayton, so I didn't see him a ton. But I'm over there, 8 or 9 years old. It's like Thanksgiving or something. And the Bengals are playing the Dolphins. And my whole family's watching the game. I don't really know what's going on, but when I do pay attention, Dan Marino uncorks one that travels like 60 yards in the air. Most beautiful thing I've ever seen as a child, besides, Saved by the Bell girls.
Absolutely.
So he uncorks one, and I'm like, I cheered for the first time ever for a football game, and my whole family just stops dead in their tracks and look at me, and they're like, why are you cheering for the Dolphins? And I'm just like, why are you cheering for the striped team? Because it's very obvious to me that the Dolphins are better at football than the stripy team. And this tall dude from Pittsburgh, didn't know that at the time, uncorked one. It was beautiful. Ever since that moment, I was a Dolphins fan. Luckily for me.
He had a beautiful ball, by the way.
Oh, man, he did. 2 of them, I hear.
It literally just looked like it teleported there. Like, just didn't. It was such a tight spiral. It didn't look like it spun. It just hovered in the air.
Well, the ball literally left his hand before his hand came forward. Mm-hmm. Like, he went back to throw, and the ball's going forward. I don't understand. Quickest release, just a thing of beauty. Luckily, my Aunt Glema, part of that family, and my cousin Bobby, Garner's brother, got a cousin named Garner, they're Dolphins fans as well. So there are Dolphins fans in my family. So it just happened to work out that growing up, collecting football cards and watching football, I had a couple people at my side during those glory years of the Dolphins where they actually went to the playoffs. But that is legit the story of why I'm a Dolphins fan. The first time I gave a crap about football was watching Dan Marino throw a ball. Now, it's unfortunate that Dan Marino's kind of a douche, but for some reason, like a attractive young lady, I am attracted to douches. So Dan Marino, one of my favorite players. You, my best friend.
I knew you were going to go there. Thank you.
Yeah, some other tool bags in history.
Favorite band's tool.
Tool bags. Mayor James Keenan, total douche, total butthole.
Looks like pink.
He's a butthole. Just one of those things, man. I don't know, but that is the legit true story. Now, granted, if I hadn't watched that game that day, maybe I'd be a Bengals fan. And at this point in my life,
aren't you glad?
Wouldn't matter which one I was. I mean, I am a fan of the better team, 2-7, baby.
Tecmo Bowl helped me solidify my favoriteness. Like my uncle
Bo Jackson.
I can remember the shirt, and it was, I don't even know what kind of shirt it was, but it had, like we are going to, and a boot kick, and then a picture of and then a butt, and I'm like, that's a cool shirt. What kind of shirt is that, Don? It's like Raiders. I'm like, why do you like the Raiders? It's like, oh man, they're just the meanest team. I'm like, oh sweet. And then Nintendo. We play Nintendo. We get the Raiders, and Bo Jackson. You just run up and down the sidelines.
Oh yeah, zigzag.
Literally do circles around the field, touchdown.
Zigzag
every time.
Him, Christian Okoye, and a handful of others.
I used to run backwards with Marcus Allen.
Oh yeah, it's fun
to get to the one, to hand it off to Bo Jackson the next play to get a 99-yard touchdown.
Well, I would, yeah, I love it. I was getting ready to say the same thing. Like when I played with my Dolphins, I would take Keith Byers, or maybe it wasn't Keith Byers. I can't remember who it was, but whoever it was, I took him back to the one and handed the ball to the primary ball carrier. So Rock Out on YouTube. Thanks, Rock Out, for the question. I don't think you're even watching anymore, but hopefully you find your way to it. He asks, I just burped in the microphone, Damian Williams, Tevin Coleman,
so far.
Devin Singletary, Cooper Kupp, Mohamed Sanu need a running back 2 and 2 flexes. Right off the rip, Damian Williams has looked good since he's back. So I'm putting Damian Williams in there. I'm putting Cooper Kupp in there without a doubt. Ignore the egg.
Hold on. Cooper Kupp is sick, so we keep an eye on that.
Oh, is he go?
He's got some sort of virus.
Well, that's fantastic.
So is that something to keep an eye on coming up for this week's game?
Yeah, in which I play arms, which is
Perfect.
very, very important.
It is.
So, great.
It is. And Nick Chubb got you 9.2 points.
I'm not worried about that. We both had 2 players play, and we're basically tied.
Yeah.
So, and one of them was a wide receiver for you, a running back for me, and I think my kicker versus maybe a defensive guy for you.
Mark Barron, yeah.
Mark Barron. So, yeah, I like Damian Williams, Cooper Kupp, and as far as the other guy comes down to, I'm rolling Singletary out all year because I just got a feeling.
See, so
I got a feeling.
Obviously, if Kupp's active due to the sickness, Cooper Kupp, no doubt about it.
If he's not, I'm going Coleman.
I'm going to go Coleman as
looked good.
as my 2 option, but I'm going to go Sanu. He got targeted 14 times by Tom Brady last week. Best in the business. Caught 10 of them for 81 yards and a touchdown. He's a start for me this week.
Interesting.
So, I mean, he tied Julian Edelman for receptions last week, and he's like a foot taller than Julian Edelman, so obviously he's the red zone target.
Sanu is kind of that epitome of a good football player.
He is a football player.
He's a football player.
Like, is he a fantasy star? To be determined. But when he gets his targets, he's good. He's real good.
Yeah.
And I honestly think he's going to get his targets the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no one in his way. Josh Gordon is gone. They have some rookies.
He got N'Keal
Phillip
Harry,
Dorsett.
but he was inactive a healthy scratch last week.
N'Keal Harry's not going to do anything this season.
Why? I mean, why even bring him out? You know what I mean?
You don't. That's why you traded for Mohamed Sanu, because N'Keal Harry's a project.
Bingo.
So let's. What do you think? Do you want to talk a little more about starts and sits, or do you want to call up Dan Rozier, back row writer for the show? I told him he was a green light to come on tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we can go through some of our starts and sits with him.
Absolutely. I miss Dan. So if you have anything else to add while we're dialing Dan up, dial it up yourself right now. I'm going to look for Dan real quick and see if we can get him on here.
Well, I will go ahead and get into a few of my my starts and sits while we're doing this. One thing I did want to go into is the sit of David Johnson. I mean, last week,
Absolutely.
1.5 points, $5,100 on DraftKings versus Kenyon Drake, who's at $5,400. I mean, so David Johnson was his best game of the season was matched.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, David Johnson's best game of the season was literally exactly in fantasy production matched by Kenyon Drake last week. Or excuse me, not last week, against the Niners. David Johnson did it against the Falcons. Terrible defense. Kenyon Drake did it once again against the Niners, top 3 defense in the league. On the season, David Johnson has 302 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, another 31 receptions for 323 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kenyon Drake, who were obviously with Miami, pretty bad situation on the offensive line, had 319 total rushing yards, 1 touchdown, which, is what it is. Obviously, if he's on Arizona, he would get that. 32 receptions, which is kind of shocking. He had more. They've missed the same amount of games, by the way.
Okay.
And 32 receptions, like as I was saying, 232 yards and 0 receiving touchdowns. Pretty even matched.
A lot of stats thrown at us.
It's about a 30-point gap on the season in favor of David Johnson. But now you have Kenyon Drake eating into David Johnson's time.
Yeah, Drake's the guy to own. Dan, are you here with us?
I'm still talking.
Does he ever stop?
That's what I was getting ready to
There we
say.
go. How are we, guys? How are we tonight?
Dan, are you using your mic? Because you sound like you're talking into a paper can.
Swear to God, I'm using the mic.
How close are you to the mic, Dan?
I can get closer if you like.
Is your mic in the bottom of a bucket?
Please get closer.
I'm right here.
There you go.
A little closer.
This is getting awkward.
There we go.
Oh, there.
Make love to that mic, Dan.
Touch it on your lips.
Lick it.
Just hope no one's walking in right now.
Okay. So, anyways, yeah, Dan.
Your wife's gonna be like, "What the hell, Dan?"
Yeah, knew I should.
I swear to God, honey, I'm doing a podcast. This is normal.
Knew I shouldn't have married an Aussie. Knew I shouldn't have married an Aussie. Jesus, what the hell? So Dan, back row fantasy show.
You couldn't go crikey.
No,
You had that opportunity.
I'm not doing that. He could easily say like, "Oh, y'all" or something like that. I'm not opening that can of
I
worms.
have picked up that. I spent 4 years in Texas, and I was swinging around a y'all every now and again.
Oh man, that's awful. So Dan Rozier, writer for the Back Row Fantasy Show. You also write for
Going to. Yeah, they're pretty cool too.
Going for
I'm
two.
very
Going-
lucky to write with really cool people.
Yes,
It's great.
yes, Going for Two, and the Back Row Fantasy Show, and probably soon Roto World. It's Dan Rozier.
All I'm saying is carry us on your back when you get there.
Yeah. Take us with you, Dan.
I'm a back row lifer. That's what this is.
Perfect.
And a Going for Two lifer. That's good stuff, and you put out good stuff for them. So, Dan, we brought you in. Thanks for coming on, but we brought you in for some more sits and starts talk and any questions we get on YouTube. But Dan, have you been listening beforehand, or did you just get freed up?
I just got freed up. I just heard the back end of the Arizona game. So where are we up to?
Well, I want to know from you, just because me and Arms have a nice, juicy bet going on. Who are you starting this week? Kyler Murray or Kyle? Let me finish. Kyler Murray or Kyle Allen? Kyler Murray plays the Niners, which has Arms scared, and Kyle Allen plays
Atlanta.
the Falcons.
So this is a trick question.
It's
In DFS,
not.
I'm throwing around Kyle Allen because he's cheap as chips, but I am going to go with Kyler Murray because I have to. But
Yeah, that's correct. You have to.
I'm not exactly too worried about the matchup. It's in San Fran, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm okay.
the matchup's not
I'm okay.
ideal.
I'm okay with that one. In our drill, I've got to roll out either Jameis Winston or Kyler Murray. There's a predicament there for you too. So
Yeah,
I'm
that
okay
does get
with
a little
Kyler Murray
dicey.
this week. I think he started to roll a bit more last week. I'm okay with him this week. It's not that bad, I don't think.
Well, it's the upside for me. I mean, Kyler Murray, the upside is 30 to 40, and Kyle Allen is
25 to 30.
on a good day. On a good day.
It's going to be a good day. He's playing the Atlanta Falcons.
We shall see. We shall see.
Kyler Murray on DraftKings is cheap this week as well.
Oh, yeah,
kind of
because of who he's facing. So
Yeah, it's kind of a good play there too. So I'm okay with playing both, depending on what you're playing him in.
The sad part is I could see either one of them finishing in the top 10 or outside of the top 15. Like
Yeah.
I could see either one of them being the 21st, 23rd quarterback, in production this week.
So they're 2019's Jay Cutler.
Yeah, basically the
Yes.
combined. I mean, you've got Kyle Allen, and admittedly, Kyle Allen doesn't have the talent Kyler Murray does. It's not close. However, he's got that much better of a matchup, and he's proven that he can produce in a good matchup.
Does Atlanta play like they did last week?
That is a concern. And
Yeah.
does San Fran play like they did the first time they played Arizona? I don't think so.
To be fair, Russell Wilson got those yards on the ground as well, didn't he, a week ago?
yes.
So he also hit them up the middle too. So
Yes.
he had himself a very, very good day, and he lost Tyler Lockett towards the end. And I'm not too worried about it. I think Kyler will get you that 25 this week. I'm not too worried.
But
Yeah,
I'm
the
gonna
floor is safer.
I'll give you some pushback on this though.
Oh, God, here we go.
In the last 2 weeks, they have played two very similar style quarterbacks. Mobile quarterbacks who can throw the ball with Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson. And this is the second time in 3 weeks they're playing Kyler Murray. That is my biggest concern about Kyler Murray. If you're going to say who's going to figure it out, the San Fran defense or a rookie quarterback with a rookie head coach in the NFL, give me the defense.
Give me Kyler. Kyler all day long.
The last 2 weeks, Kyler Murray's played two of the best run defenses, right?
Yes.
Right. And what's his fantasy points been in those 2 weeks?
Solid.
Very good. They're in the upper 30s.
So we're like
Well, 31, 39.
32, 37.
31, 39 in our league of record, but maybe 32, 37.
But I also
in
feel
other
like
leagues.
it's almost we got to just kind of have a throw out. Like the Buccaneers, yes, they're a good run defense, but their team in totality, it's not good.
The week against San Fran 2 weeks ago, that could have also been very inflated from the one big Andy Isabella play as well, was 88 yards for the touch, right? So
Yes.
It was.
that could have also blown up from that too. So it might not have been as great as what it might have been, but
We're looking
he
at-
might have got there eventually anyway.
Without that, we're looking at 160 yards and 1 touchdown.
Arms likes to subtract. I mean, these things
No,
happen in
I
history
know,
already.
I know it happens.
Already happened.
But-
Can't take it back.
Since you're going to talk about the last 2 weeks, why don't we talk about the 2 weeks before that? Whenever he finished with 10 fantasy points each week, 10 or 15 against the Giants, who don't have a good run defense, and hell, they don't have a good pass defense.
Hey.
And the Saints.
Okay, so Kyle Allen put up 6.57 against the Niners. I get that. The Texans aren't exactly ball hawking defense. He only put up 9 against them. I mean, he's missed the mark against some defenses that, let's, Dan, before we move completely on, I just also want to get your opinion of last night's.
I will tell you, Texans
garbage.
are basically dead center. They're right in the middle of the road as far as fantasy defense. So
If you ain't first, you're last.
that's not true.
So Dan, what do you make? We gave our takes. We're not going to interrupt you, Arms. What was your take from last night's debacle of the helmet swing at Babyface?
Hell, Ricky, I was high when I said that. Sorry.
I will go by this. I think, what are the rules in brawling?
I don't know. What brawling could mean a lot of
There's no rules
things.
in brawling, like he's going to swing a helmet. People are complaining about him swinging a helmet at someone's head, but these guys are running helmets at each other when they celebrate touchdowns anyway. So
Yeah, but they've got helmets on when they do that.
yeah, sure. I think
Rudolph didn't have a helmet on.
Hold on, you got to understand.
I find the uproar about concussions and all that. I understand. I get it, but in a brawl, really, like. I don't know. Everyone's got to just calm down a little bit. I think a lot's being made out of. I don't think it was that bad, but
You have to understand. Dan grew up watching rugby.
Where we actually, don't wear pads where we play football. So it's just one of those things.
That's true. We're talking to, we're comparing an American tough guys to an Aussie tough guy, and then you win. You win there. I mean, not.
How much? I didn't hear what you guys had to say before. How much was this put on Mason Rudolph beforehand?
I think a lot has. I think it's Mason Rudolph's fault. It escalated the way it did.
And I think Myles Garrett just took it way too damn far when he could have just jawed at him, because that's all Mason Rudolph was doing when he came at
So can't
Myles
you both
Garrett.
be right?
Huh?
Can't you both be right?
No.
I don't
Yes.
think there's a wrong. I don't think there's a wrong in there. Rudolph.
Okay.
was wrong
So
and
well, let's
Garrett
put it.
was wrong. And
Let's put it
That's
this
it.
way, Dan. Hand out the suspensions. You're the commissioner. Hand out the suspensions. Tell us who you're suspending and for how long.
what did Rudolph got? Nothing, right?
Nothing.
We're not worried about what he got. What are you giving?
I'd give Rudolph. I'd give him at least 3. I'd give him 3.
Okay.
Pouncey got what? Pouncey got 3. I'm okay with that. Garrett's indefinite. I think that's silly.
You think
Put a
that's
timeline on it. I think they got to put a time. They got to put a name on it.
okay?
They
Well,
need something.
you're the commish. Put a timeline on it. What's Garrett get?
I give him 5.
Okay.
I give him till the end of the regular season. What's it? Week 11. I give him 6. They're not going to make the playoffs anyway, right?
No,
Obviously.
no.
You give him the
maybe.
6.
Actually, oddly enough, they're still in it.
Yeah, they're still in it, kind of.
I'd give him the 6. I'm okay with 3, 3, and 6.
Well,
See,
okay.
For me, I give Pouncey right around what I give Garrett.
I'm glad you're giving the heavier punishment to Garrett at least. At least we can all three agree that the heaviest punishment goes to Garrett, but punishment should be handed out to the other two as well.
Yeah, I think Rudolph got away with that one, but they might come around and get him on it anyway, so you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, my call was 1 game. Rudolph for 1 game. He didn't really do. I don't know. I don't like the kid. I don't like the kid at all. I look at him and I see, I see a punching bag at a festival. Just the ones where all the D bags are standing around trying
to get that $9.99.
get that high score. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, he played his part too, and I don't think a fine is enough
He did.
for that. But
I agree.
at the same time, I think in brawling and fighting in terms of sports, I think in this case, and I'm very well in the minority, I believe. The rules of engagement are off. You can't say, well, there's a rules for how we fight. Well, the guy swung a helmet. He did what he did.
I can understand that.
I get that.
I mean, with that being said, I mean, Myles Garrett is a star in the league. And you've got to show restraint. I know it's a violent sport, and I know it's played by violent men.
With 10 seconds to go, you've got to be, and you've got the game in the bag. You got to be better.
Oh,
Just be better. That's all you've got to be. Be better. You've got the win. You got the 4 intercepts. Swinging a helmet's not going to make your day any better. That's as good as a day gets if you're him.
As I told Barker, I think that the greatest punishment right now for the Steelers was that Mason Rudolph didn't get suspended, and they have to keep playing him. He's been horrid.
Yeah, he's not been great.
Yeah, I mean it's been bad. So
he's not been Brian Hoyer though. So
So now, one thing that we mentioned earlier, and I'm sorry for our listeners and our viewers. Does this make you? Does Mason Rudolph's his performance make you appreciate Ben Roethlisberger that much more?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, to be able to see what he can do.
I really wanted to see without Bell, without Brown, how it was all going to happen this year. I think that's what I wanted to see happen. We kind of forget about what they lost at the start of the year and how it's all panned out till now, because we've lost the season on Juju effectively, right? Like that's been a wash. James Conner's been okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is about right.
Yeah.
The bright spark, Deontay Thompson, right? So I mean, he's been a bright spark for them. I think he's a real gem. And what Ben could have done with this team now, and that could have been, they would be closer to Baltimore than they are to Cleveland, I think. So
I mean,
I think it's been a lost year. Do I appreciate him more? No, because he was, I think Ben Roethlisberger is pretty damn good anyway. So
no, what I was getting at is, I mean, you think with the organization around it, around Ben, you're like, well, is he a product of the organization, a product of the team around him? To me, it just proves that he makes that team that much better. And by the way, I'm very upset you didn't even mention one of my favorite guys who's performed well in the last few weeks. Right after I gave up on him, James Washington.
James Washington.
I ain't doing the voice, but
he's
been okay. I can't, man.
He's gotten a little better.
He's not great by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm buying on him.
At the same time, Jalen Samuels looked pretty good too. He's been looking all right, and then last week he kind of last night he just
that's game plan error right there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and you could also say it's been if you want to go with the preseason narrative, this was a Vance McDonald year too, right? Like this was his big year at 29, so it's been a bit of a wash for them, but they've found a few little bits of their defense, and they get Minka as well, and Bush has been incredible. So what he would have been able to do with that defense as well, like supporting him, I don't know, man. It's a shame, but I hope he comes back next year and gives it another go. It sounds like he is. So, let's see what happens next year. They might be playing against. They might be up against Super Bowl champions twice a year next year in Baltimore, right? So who knows?
Oh.
Perhaps.
I'm joking. I'm not going there. I'm just saying it could happen.
Hey, you know what? I mean, one thing I can say is never count out Bill Belichick with his ability to figure somebody out.
They're always there, man. But hey, I mean, if Nick Foles can win a Super Bowl, anyone can, right? So,
no doubt.
Let's dive into some starts and sits while we got Dan on here, and we're entering the back half of the show, back quarter of the show. Let's roll them out. Arms, I know you got notes. Dan, off the top of your head, if you don't have notes, starts and sits. Let's talk about a few. I'm going to lead it off. I talked about Brian Hill on the last episode. I'm still going to talk about Brian Hill. He is the lead back in Atlanta right now, which means passing work, which means most of the carries. Panthers, not a super intimidating run defense. I think Brian Hill is a very sneaky play for teams that have playoff aspirations.
He had 20 carries last week, right?
Yes, after the injury to Devonta Freeman, yes.
Who I believe is already out.
Yeah, he's out.
I mean, that's a safer play as it is, isn't it? What's he, 4,600 on DraftKings as well, right? So that's pretty cool too.
He's pretty cheap. So yeah. I'm glad you already mentioned DraftKings, because most of mine are geared around DraftKings, because at this point in the season, it's not like you're trading for anybody, and the waiver wires probably pick pretty thin.
Well, and not to mention, when you own Arms' Dynasty teams, it's all about DraftKings right now.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Go ahead.
We just saw, Deshaun Hamilton's just tweaked his knee, right? So I've just grabbed Tim Patrick. So even on DraftKings, he might be, I don't know what he's priced at, but
I like that, Dan.
Probably
I like
almost
that.
Nothing.
Listen, I'm going to throw something out real quick. I honest to God think that a small factor in Denver trading Emmanuel Sanders is Tim Patrick. I like Tim Patrick. There has not been a wide receiver 2 in Denver that has stepped up. Deshaun Hamilton, none of those guys have stepped up. It's Cortland Sutton, a little bit of Noah Fant. Tim Patrick has talent. Tim Patrick could be a really fine DraftKings pickup this week, in my opinion. He's coming off injured reserve, playing week 11. Last year he showed flashes. I love that mention by Dan. I'm a Tim Patrick guy. He's cheap too. I mean, he's cheap everywhere. Dynasty, DraftKings, whole 9 yards. Tim Patrick could be kind of a sleeper this week.
I tried to search him on DraftKings. I didn't even see him.
Oh, he should be there. And
Granted,
they play the Vikings.
Tim Patrick he's not available on DraftKings. Not available. The cheapest receiver on the DraftKings lineup is Davion Davis and Juwan Winfrey, both at $3,000. So Patrick, probably more for your fantasy team, but he is not available on DraftKings.
Could that change? I don't know in DraftKings.
I don't think
those
so.
Guys in? No.
I don't think so, because if you look at it this way, whenever somebody's ruled out last second, they don't remove them. So I'd assume they don't add them. And I would venture to say DraftKings doesn't do that for Thursday night. And I'm sorry to derail it on that. I like the plays, particularly if you are in, like I said, in my situation, wide receiver needy in my main league. Yeah, I've got 2 guys that are game time decisions.
Bet you wish you had some Tim Patrick.
I'm about to throw a bid in on him, so we'll find out.
I own him. I'm sorry.
Seriously?
Yep.
You're joking.
I'm not joking. He's on my
Why?
injured reserve right now. Because I'm a Tim Patrick guy.
Well, then get him off your. I'm going to email Den. He's on your IR. Den, if you're listening,
I'll call him up.
send Barker the email. Get him off your IR. Cut him or cut somebody else.
I'll have to see if he's got the same designation while you talk about a few more starts and sits.
So,
I
particularly,
like that I've started something here. This is great.
particularly on DraftKings, I'm going with
I do have to call him up.
once again on DraftKings, starting with Josh Jacobs as my primary back. The first one I'm going to look at. Obviously, I'm going to try to afford Christian McCaffrey if you can. But Jacobs' prime matchup with the Bengals, they're horrid all the way around. But he's at 6,900. You got Kamara at 7,400 against one of the best rush defenses in the league. You got Fournette at 7,900. The Colts are the 5th best rush defense in the league. For the price, unless you're paying all the way up to get CMC, in which you're going to pretty well hamstring yourself at other positions to do that, I feel like Josh Jacobs, for the value, it's going to pay off tremendously.
So I've got one for you, Arms. How about this? So McCaffrey's 10.5?
Yeah.
And Brian Hill is 4.6, so it's 15-1, right, on DraftKings?
Yep.
Or you could get, for 14-1, you could get Josh Jacobs and Le'Veon Bell.
I've got a better idea. Hold on a
Bell
second.
at Washington as well.
I've got a better idea. Give me Josh Jacobs, all right? Give me Brian Hill, and give me Michael Thomas.
Yeah, you could have that. Or you could go down from Michael Thomas to Michael Evans. What is it? Is Lattimore in or out this week? I haven't seen anything
I haven't seen. But my thought on it is Jacobs is getting 17.7 points a game. Kamar's only averaging 18. You got Leonard Fournette, who the Colts with keep in mind, Darius Leonard missed 3 games. Still the 5th best rush defense. And they've got the ultimate neutralizer. Darius Leonard can neutralize any running back. I think it's going to kill Fournette. So that's a full 1,000 points or $1,000 higher than Josh Jacobs. The money for me, it just makes sense to go Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I'm checking in on this as well. Jacobs, the Bengals have allowed 173 rushing yards per game, 24 points per game for the running back.
Yeah.
And that's just bad. Was it 12 touchdowns to the running back position, including 3 in the air. So, Josh Jacobs at 6,900 is going to have one.
Oh, yeah. Hell, we could all be wrong, but Jacobs could be the number 1 overall fantasy running back at the end of this week. For this week, excuse me. I do have another. I got a sneaky dirt cheap play. A lot of this depends on health. So you got Breida, who's out, or doubtful, excuse me. You got Coleman, who has some personal issues right now. No one's released what that is, but he missed practice for personal reasons. And Raheem Mostert, if both of those guys are out and he plays, which he's questionable, Mostert's only 3,400. Okay? On the flip side, Jeff Wilson's only 3,300. If for some reason those guys can't go, Jeff Wilson's going to have a day for next to nothing. Arizona has a very porous rush defense. They're one of the bottom in the league as well. So, I mean, you're going to end up with a prime price on somebody
I don't hate that.
in the San Fran backfield.
Don't hate it.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Hell, even if Coleman plays, and let's say Mostert and Breida doesn't, still, they're not giving Coleman 100% of the run. They never will. So, I mean, it's a cheap play. So,
I'm struggling here with who to drop to call up Tim Patrick because his IR designation is over.
yes.
So I've got to dump someone. Right now I'm looking at LaShawn McCoy thinking, I don't know if you're going to play for me this year.
Isn't that crazy to say you might drop LaShawn McCoy?
For Tim Patrick?
In general, as good as he's been over his career, it's painful to drop someone like that.
It is. I mean, I have Mark Walton. I have Ty Johnson. I kind of want to drop Ty Johnson, but he's a young kid with I don't know how much upside he's got, but they liked him going in. So
Who's on a roster next year? Mark Walton or Ty Johnson?
Mark Walton.
Or LaShawn McCoy.
I gotta go Mark Walton. I mean, Ty Johnson's bad.
Ty Johnson's kind of rough. Man.
LaShawn McCoy's archaic. I mean, LaShawn McCoy will end up somewhere, but not with a valued role.
Sadly, since Taco Charlton's questionable, yeah, I don't know. I need that third defensive end.
You drop Taco Charlton, I'm spending $6 on him. $6 of my $8. Barker, by the way, got me this week. Nick Kwiatkowski, since we are an IDP show, and I know Barker does IDP primary, we've let it get away. Kwiatkowski, however you pronounce his name.
Mike Kwiatkowski.
Nick Kwiatkowski. Absolutely a must own right now for dynasty fantasy purposes.
100%.
Like, he should be on a roster in every single league. I've loved him for multiple years. He just hasn't got the shot. When he plays, he's productive. When he doesn't, obviously he's not. When he's on special teams, he's doing great. But the guy has just an excellent nose for the ball. So Kwiatkowski, get him in there. And I'm sorry to derail it a little bit there. My bad. So, Dan, do you have another start?
Yeah. How deep is this meant to be going this week?
However deep you want to, brother.
Oh, yeah. Take it deep.
I kind of feel like Irv Smith's not getting the love he deserves. He's starting to see some more targets over the past couple of games since Adam Thielen's been out. I think he's had 6 and 6. So he's been rolling out in those 2 tight end sets. I think he's starting to work his way in. He's only getting that 30 to 40 yards a game, but I think he could be someone that we look at as a deep play. He's only 3,100 on DraftKings as well. And if you fade the tight end position, then he's as cheap as it gets. And we were talking about the Atlanta-Carolina game, kind of like Russell Gage as well.
Oh, man, me too.
Yeah, I feel like he stepped into that role a little bit more. No Austin Hooper, I don't think it seems like, and no Devontae Freeman.
He's out. Hooper's out. I was just letting you know because I know that he's not going to do anything this week, and I was going to point that out. No.
You get to sleep this week. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You won't be hearing from me. Yeah, and I think without Freeman as well, Freeman's hands are always pretty good, but even that seems to have faded a bit this year too. So I think Russell Gage without Sanu, I think he could slide in there as a sneaky play in a deep league, but that doesn't mean anything to say that, Ridley or Jones won't either. They could go nuts this week too. So I kind of like Russell Gage this week too. If you're looking at a deep play, he's getting that love.
I like that. Another guy that I own.
There we go.
People nobody's waiting for until it's like 7 injuries. Great job.
I've got a really
14 targets over the past 2 weeks.
Here's a silly play that I've got for you, right? So I was looking into a few things, and Detroit, not very good against the running back. We can say that second most points per game to the running back, tied for the most receiving touchdowns to the running back with 5. And that isn't Ezekiel Elliott this week. He isn't doing that anymore. 0 targets against the Giants, 3-2-16 last week against the Vikings. Seems like they're phasing him out. I want to believe Tony Pollard could do something this week.
Man, see, I'm going.
I want to believe he's been nowhere, but you would think that if there was a game that lined up for him, it would be this week. But it's the way that they use. I was telling Bark this during the week. I moved Elliott on during the week as well. I don't like what they're doing with him. It just does nothing for me at the moment. And if there was a game for Pollard to do something, it might be this week.
Now, granted, we talked about this. You moved him to get Deshaun Watson in a 2-quarterback league, right?
I moved Elliott and Pollard to get Watson in a super flex league.
Yeah, to me that's fine.
Yeah, I mean he's an elite quarterback, so
yeah. And Ezekiel Elliott is not the clear cut. He's not the clear cut number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, I don't think right.
I mean he's up there. He's always got that high point, but I mean if we're talking about DraftKings as we were earlier, if you want to look at what Zeke's doing, he's 19.3 points a game on DraftKings, and he's $9,000.
It's a lot of money when you could grab an Austin Ekeler for less.
Here's one for you. In the same amount of games as Christian McCaffrey and half-point PPR, Ezekiel Elliott has 103 less points.
And,
that's crazy.
And my God, if it was full point PPR, it'd be a chasm.
Yeah.
I don't have those numbers pulled up, but yeah, that's got to be
that. McCaffrey 272, Elliott 158.
Oh my God,
that's insane. And Elliott's running back 8 for the year.
And you know what? This is something that's frustrating me. Nobody wants to talk about McCaffrey as being a MVP candidate. Nobody wants to talk about Michael Thomas being an MVP candidate.
Well, here's the thing.
Both of them are having crazy years.
Well, here's the thing with McCaffrey. The Panthers are not a great team. They're 5-4. That's decent. But I mean, McCaffrey is
right. What, 6-5 and what? 5-5 now? Is that right? They're not a great team either by any stretch, I don't think.
Who?
The time they called Dallas a great team, they're not a great team either.
No, no.
Dallas is gonna. They keep trying to be the Cowboys of the old, but they're just not.
13 points a game more in PPR than Elliott. There you go, 30-17.
But yeah, to be the league MVP, I mean, I think your team has to be fairly good. Right now, league MVP to me is Russell Wilson. I don't even think it's close.
Lamar Jackson.
Okay, Lamar could be thrown in, but yeah, I'm think as of right now, yeah, Lamar Jackson, but Russell Wilson to me still has him edged fairly easily.
To me, Lamar Jackson, for what was expected of him, he might get most improved player and league MVP. Like, no one was expecting this out of this guy. A lot of us, I know I loved him. Hey, I spoke very highly of him as well. Like, I think he's a better passer than everyone thought he was, and he's proved it. So, anyhow, do you have any more starts you want to hit? Any receivers? Any other receivers?
Any receivers? I'll have to go through this.
I'll run through one while you're looking.
I'll tell you what. Here's one. I love Ted Ginn this week. I think the Bucs are going to give it up. He's another one. You can get him for the cheap too.
Solid.
Yeah, I think he's there. I also love Marquise Brown this week. This could be a blowout for him. 5,600 on DraftKings, 20 yards of reception. Texans give up fourth most PPR points per game to receivers. So I think he could be in line for 1-2. I think that's another one there as well. And that's what I'd be going with. They're the guys that I have.
I mean, the boom bust potential for Marquise Brown is ridiculous. So it's like he's great or he's bad, and I
think he's going off this week.
And I hope he does. I love me some Hollywood. I do have another one. Scary Terry McLaurin. I mean, the Jets seem to just always get burnt by somebody. Paul Richardson's out. Yeah. I mean, the Jets are getting torched for a touchdown or two a game by anybody, right?
Speaking of which, Lev Bell is a play this week for me because I think they're going to lean heavily on him, and Dwayne Haskins isn't going to get many opportunities.
By the way, Terry McLaurin, 5,600 on DraftKings. I mean, the guy has performed above average all year, and he's only 5,600.
If I can with that on Terry McLaurin, Washington haven't scored in 3 straight games.
Yes,
I'm fine with it. Also,
but just like you're fine with Kyler Murray, even against a bad defense.
I'm not, though. But the factors on this, it's PPR, DraftKings PPR. If you're an adult, you play PPR. Chris Thompson is out. Paul Richardson's out. I mean, the majority of their other pass catching options are not on the field. So, I mean, the dude's going to get force-fed targets through a freaking, fire hose. I mean, Terry McLaurin might get 15, 20 targets this week. It wouldn't even shock me.
his last 3 weeks, 2 points, 9 points, 8 points.
Give me some T-Mac.
I'm not starting him if I don't have to.
He's playing the Jets.
Who
were the? Hold on a second.
He's got Dwayne Haskins at quarterback.
Who were the last 3 weeks that they played?
It's not like he has Daniel Jones, is it?
Yeah.
Correct.
Hey, we're all eating crow on that one, man.
Everyone is, man.
But hold on a second. His last 3 weeks, he played the San Francisco 49ers, great defense. The Vikings, great defense. And the Buffalo Bills, a great defense. He's playing the freaking Jets, the 26th ranked defense against the pass.
Jets, Jets.
Can't. I mean, J-E-T or H-O-R-R-I-B-L-E. Horrible. The Jets are horrible.
So
Terry
we're
McLaurin's
still
gonna have a
friends
day.
with my bookie, right?
What is it?
We're still friends with my bookie, right?
Oh, yeah.
Over under 38.5. What do you think?
On the score? I'd take the over, actually. They both have bad defenses. It's going to be a bad game, but both of them are going to score. I'm not exaggerating.
Something even better. They're giving Washington a 2.5 start.
Oh. I think that Terry McLaurin breaks 100 and gets in the end zone at least one time this week. At least.
I'm just worried, man.
Just go back and look at the Jets game log. Like, they're getting torched left and right.
I might play Willie Snead over him.
Go hit the I must be the wrong one button.
Well, it has your voice.
All right. You must be the wrong one.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the lowest over under this for the week.
I do have another just absolute flyer. Once again, desperation play, right? Kelvin Harmon. He actually was edging Paul Richardson out last.
God, I love edging.
Okay. I think he edged him out, started pushing him off field for plays. I want to say it was like 47% snap count versus 45 or something like that. And Richardson's out. Like, those targets got to go somewhere. It's going to be a competitive game. I don't think that Adrian Peterson's good enough to take over the game.
Might be the game of the week.
I think it'll be fairly competitive. I don't think Le'Veon Bell's good enough at this point with that offense to take over the game. Like, Kelvin Harmon could have a productive week. I'm not going to sit here and protect, 7 receptions for 100 yards, but it wouldn't have surprised me. He's a big guy if he gets into the end zone with 3 receptions. So
I'll give you another guy that I would play over Terry McLaurin.
By the way, 3,000 on DraftKings. Cheapest, tied for cheapest receiver.
Time to fire D.D. Westbrook back up.
I was just looking at that.
Time to fire him back up. He's not on the injury report as of today. He was hitting a nice little stride of 11, 8, and 9 targets. I like D.D. Westbrook quite a bit this week. The Colts don't exactly exude fear in the passing game. They're ranked like top 10 against the pass, but I still like D.D. Westbrook. I'm not fearful of that pass defense. D.D. Westbrook is a solid play. I would play him over McLaurin this week.
I think you're nuts on that. One thing I will say.
Another dollar bet, sir?
Absolutely.
Okay, D.D.
Let's go 10.
$10?
Yeah.
Fine.
Deal.
Give me D.D. over Terry McLaurin.
Okay, deal.
There we go. We got 2 bets. 2 bets so far. This show has turned into a gambling exchange. MyBookie.com.
I will give you a related play, though. I'm going to go DJ Chark this week as a start.
I mean, it's DJ Chark.
Well, I think that he has a more towards the beginning of season type game to where he gets in the end zone, has, near 100 yards, maybe even over 100 yards. And why? Because D.D. Westbrook's on the field. You do have to count. I like D.D. You gotta account for him, unlike some of the other players on that team.
So I'm gonna jump in on this one then. So Bark's on Westbrook, you're on Chark. I'm gonna get on Chris Conley. How about we go that way?
Jeez, Pete's.
I like it.
Are you in for 10 on that?
No, I'm going McLaurin for my 10.
No. I'm asking Dan if he's in for 10 on Conley.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's give it a go.
Wow.
I like it.
I like it too. This show's turned complete degenerate.
Yeah, no doubt.
Gambling degenerates.
So, continue. Go ahead.
No, I said I've ruined everything. It's great.
Yeah, I like it.
No, you're helping. You're helping.
You've ruined nothing.
I'm helping.
The only game that he played was week 1, right?
Who, Conley?
No, Foles.
Yes.
Was Conley the one that caught the touchdown from Foles, or was it Chark? I can't remember.
It was Chark.
I think Conley had a touchdown that game too.
Did they both have
He
one?
did. He had 7-6-97 for 1.
Yeah, and then 2 weeks ago he had 4 for 103 and 1. Hey, Conley, I said preseason, Conley could be surprising. Now, he's not been great by any stretch because he's had like 4 productive games, but I thought he was better than he was in KC.
He started off hot. He had 97 yards, 73 yards, and then he faded in the last couple of weeks. He had 3 for 83 and then 4 for 103 in the touch. So
he feasts on bad defenses.
Yeah.
Absolutely dependent matchup dependent.
All right, so I just lost $10. Fantastic.
Hey, somebody's got to score. It'll probably be Conley with 2.
It'll be Seth DeVal. Doesn't matter.
So I'd mentioned this one earlier on the show, and I don't think you were on here yet, but Mohamed Sanu last week targeted 14 times versus the Ravens, of course. Comes down with 10 receptions. So right there in DraftKings is 10 points. Gets 81 yards. There's another 8 points. There were 18 points and a touchdown for 6. I mean, there's 24 points for Mohamed Sanu. Like, once again, dude gets his targets. He's solid, and he's only $5,100 on DraftKings.
Yeah, that's not bad.
You can round out a good team.
Philly aren't great, so is this where they start to spread it around a bit? Is this like when N'Keal Harry kind of pops up? Is this like Dorsett going to pop up for a big play? I kind of feel like someone's going to pop up and do something this week. I don't know necessarily if it's just going to be funneled through Sanu.
I don't. And the Patriots are an enigma.
It feels like someone's going to pop out of nowhere and do something in this one. It kind of feels like that's the way it's going to end up. The Patriots and Eagles tend to be close games too. There's never a lot of points in them. So I don't know how clear-cut it'll be with him.
That is going to be a grinder, it seems. But the Patriots might be looking to make a statement.
If it's a close game, if it's and the Patriots coming off a loss, if it's a close game, you gotta think that the Patriots are going to throw the ball around. I mean, their run game is okay. It's not great. I mean,
under 44.5.
That's the over/under on that.
Yeah,
that's too much.
Oh, I think you're crazy. I think it's over.
I think it's under.
You're telling me that you can't see that score being 23-22.
17-14.
Okay.
17-14.
The Patriots defense might score more than 14 points.
17-14.
All right. So I do have another Debo. What about as Barker likes to call him, Samuel Debo?
Samuel Debo. Yeah, Debo Samuel. He's turning it on. And Emmanuel Sanders might be out this week. Good old Debo. I'm with you 100% on this one. We've talked about a lot of receivers, but I do like Debo a ton this week against the Cardinals' suspect pass defense. And Debo, I stand by it. He, to me, outside of A.J. Brown, who's in a weird situation in Tennessee, still performed pretty well. I was very torn. A.J. Brown, Debo, those guys were my 1A, 1B wide receivers coming out of this class. And I think Debo's finally putting it together. Dude, he is an absolute animal with the ball in his hands.
Dude, he's a running back, basically.
That can catch the ball.
Yeah, I mean, he's 6 foot, 215 pounds.
He's a Saquon Barkley of young wide receivers.
Let's not get carried away. But in the past 3 weeks, I mean, he had 13 points. I mean, because he had 2 carries, got in the end zone on a freaking carry against the Panthers. 8 points and then 19.2 points. Why? Emmanuel Sanders goes out. If Emmanuel Sanders out, like, who else are they going to throw the ball to? As much as I've always liked Dante Pettis, he's not the answer. George Kittle's out. If San Fran wants to win this game, it kind of has to go through Debo Samuel.
Thoughts, Dan?
I'd probably more lean with Bark on that one. It'll be Raheem Mostert as well. I think he's going to be a big factor this week.
Let's switch gears a little bit. Austin Hooper, top tight end, he's out this week. Who do you like at tight end this week with the numero uno out? Like who is the tight end?
Wait, hold on a second. Who's the top tight end?
Austin Hooper.
Yeah.
Never heard of him.
Who do you
I
like?
hate Austin Hooper.
Who do you
Man,
like at tight end?
He's made me look like such a fool this year.
I think Darren Waller has himself a nice comeback week against the Bengals.
By the way, Austin Hooper, 2019, Eric Ebron.
Yeah, we said that.
What?
Yeah, there it is.
Come on.
I don't even remember who said that. I think it's Bauer. He's Eric Ebron.
That would be me.
It was you. I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
He's having a great year, but I still think Ridley develops more and ends up with the vast majority of the target share long term.
So we're looking at tight ends this week, right? So 2 tight ends I like this week. I like that Philly New England game, and I like Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. One of them's popping up, I think. If you're looking for a deep tight end to play, if you're looking at someone to pick up if you've lost Hooper, in a few leagues, including the Brill, I picked up Ryan Griffin from the Jets. He seems to have done all right when Chris Herndon, obviously, he's not been existent this year. And Griffin's had a handful of touchdowns. He's not had the yards. He's only going to pop for 25, 35, if that. But he's getting it's ridiculous where he's at in the red zone targets. He's in like top 12 for tight ends in the position. He's had 4 targets, 3 touchdowns or something like that, or 5 targets, 4 touchdowns. I have to double down on that. But Griffin seems to be someone that Sam Darnold likes to go to in that position. So if you're looking at a flyer, we're talking about picking up someone while Hooper's away. I think Ryan Griffin could be a really deep and cheap option for you too.
I have no problems with that. I mean, Ryan Griffin has been a solid pickup. He's been very Darren Fells like over the last couple weeks. Not so much with the touchdowns.
I have Austin Hooper, so no one really wants to lose that. But at that point, this is what you got, and this is what it might be. But you're right. I mean, you could be Fells. He could be anything this week. So
yeah, I like Waller. I also like Noah Fant this week.
I love Noah Fant this week.
Kind of feel like he's turned it on a little bit, a la Debo. Figured it out a little bit more over the past week or so. So those are 2 guys that I would look at possibly to start this week if you are an Austin Hooper owner.
I feel like, and I could be wrong on this, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think that Hawkinson playing the Cowboys, that's the 30th ranked defense against the tight end.
It is, but man, Hawkinson has just been so inconsistent. Inconsistent.
But he's still getting the targets. I mean, last 2 weeks, 6 and 7. Had the 1, then 5 and 6 previous to that. I mean, it's one of those situations like you've seen what he did week 1, kind of like you've seen what Fant did this past week. You want to think that he can do something like that again, and this matchup is primed to do it. The downside is for him, the linebackers are in full strength down in Dallas, so that could hinder him a little bit. But no, I love the Fant play.
Wasn't there a guy you wanted to talk about at tight end that you really like this week? The Juice?
O.J. Howard?
Yeah.
No.
I thought you did.
Not for the matchup. Oh, no,
Okay.
I'm just saying
Okay.
O.J. Howard over Austin Hooper this week. That's because Austin Hooper's out. But by the way, so if you're a new listener and you didn't listen to us in the offseason, I was anyone but Hooper. Like, that was my thought. Anyone but Hooper, just based on the inconsistency.
Right.
And he has literally been the pillar of consistency all freaking year. I mean, Austin Hooper has had a game under 10 points, just one, and it was still 7.4 points. That was against the Eagles week 2. I mean, the guy gets in the end zone.
I'll be the first to admit it.
Even whenever he only catches 3 or 4 balls, which, I mean, this is what he was last year. 3 balls, 30 yards, or 7 balls and a touchdown. He catches 7 for 77 and a touchdown. But it was like 7 for 77 touchdown, 2 weeks in a row, 3 for 35. And you're like, God dang it, Austin Hooper. Like, you're talented, but it's not happening for you. And in my mind, I had to think, if they're going to throw it to someone in the red zone, it's got to be Julio Jones eventually. I know they don't often enough, but it's got to be Julio Jones. And it'll be Jones before Hooper. And, man, Hooper has made me just look like an absolute moron this year.
I don't think it's necessarily that, though. I think with Hooper, I think everyone – we can fairly admit most people to nearly everyone was wrong on O.J. Howard, right? I think everyone's read the tea leaves on Howard wrong, and they should have been reading Hooper. Think about it on this. I mean,
Not me.
Dirk Cutter was the guy in Tampa with O.J. Howard. Howard was blowing up. He's at Atlanta. He's calling the shots, right? Dirk Cutter.
I traded him before the season. I just want to toss that out there.
Howard did outscore OJ.
Who was the other
Howard
one?
did
Mike
outscore
Mularkey
Hooper
was at
last week.
Tennessee, right? Mike Mularkey was at Tennessee. Delaney Howard had good years. He's a tight ends coach at Atlanta. They brought in two guys that like to use the tight end a lot. I kind of think everyone kind of missed the ball on the additions that the Falcons made in the coaching department to help Hooper take his game to the next level. But, at the same time, I don't think anyone saw that Hooper was going to make this big of a jump.
Yeah,
and Howard was going to make that big of a step back. So
yeah, and I'm one of them. I'll admit my misses for the year right now. The two main ones, Hooper, Tyler Lockett. I just did not love them going into the season. I thought Lockett was being drafted too high. I thought that Hooper had no chance at tight end number one relevance, and I was wrong on both. It happens. Now, again, right on some guys along the way too. That's what this game is about.
It's the reason nobody's an expert.
It's the reason no one's an expert. I mean, so many guys love Juju. So many. No, wait.
I had Juju as number one overall.
Just wait. One guy said that Dwayne Haskins would break the rookie touchdown record. People,
hey, listen,
people are wrong sometimes.
First off, hold on a second. I'll go ahead and go on that since you want to bring it up and you wanted to tweet my fantasy league on this whenever I called you out on something. So Haskins just now getting a chance to start. I know he hasn't looked good.
There
you
cannot go to bat for this guy.
I can because their starting left tackle hasn't played football this year.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, the coaching staff is incompetent.
True.
Has absolutely been incompetent. The only player with relevance has been Terry McLaurin and flashes of Adrian Peterson. That's it.
Adrian Peterson's pushing people to vote him to the Pro Bowl.
Great. Good for him.
Good for you, Adrian.
Good for you, AP. Well, you pander to your audience, brother. But, this coaching staff doesn't even know what to do with talent. Dan Snyder wanted to draft Dwayne Haskins, so that's the only reason we have him on team. We're not going to play him. The kid hasn't had a chance, and he is good enough. You said it earlier in the show. Long term, he'll figure it out, and he'll be fine.
I think so.
I think if you give him the first 2 or 3 weeks and Trent Williams protecting his blind side, I think we're looking at a whole different season.
I don't. He just wasn't ready.
Also, I think Geis being there would help him as well.
But
can I rewind back on something that Bark was talking about earlier?
Have at it. Actually, have at it for a long period of time because I need to use the facilities.
Well, your facilities, just aim straight. So Bark wasn't on Lockett at the start of the year, and if it's just arms, I can't see
Sadly,
you guys at the moment anyway. All right, so what does Josh Gordon do to the Seahawks? Because I missed what you guys were talking about earlier. Obviously, they had the Monday game.
We didn't talk about that.
Oh, okay, great. So I think Gordon, when he came in, and it was a third down, Tim and Wilson looked money. Does he free up Lockett a lot more and Metcalf if they throw them out? Because they're not really known for throwing three wides, right?
So
how does Gordon play in Seattle?
Definitely not known for running three wides. I mean, they're a run-first team. We all know that. Everything comes...
Hollister's come out of nowhere too. So all of a sudden, they're picking up guys towards the end of the season, mid to end of the season. Seattle's starting to look good, but come from two guys that haven't probably had the reps that anyone thought.
100% agree. Here's what I'm afraid of. And, I mean, once again, I admit I'm a little bit wrong. But I will say this about DK Metcalf. He's looked good, but it showed...
He's looked like he's done what everyone thought he could do.
Yes.
Okay, yes, he looked what everyone thought he could do, but...
No one thought he was going to be dominant. I
wouldn't have thought he was going to do anything more.
Yeah, the people that like DK Metcalf, this is why they liked him. What he's doing right now, this is why they liked him.
But on the flip side, I mean, I saw, you could see that he still doesn't have lateral quickness. Like, whenever he caught a ball on an out, all right? And the instant move for literally 97% of receivers in the NFL is go for the first down. He's like 8 yards out of 10, and he's running straight. Like, there was no lateral movement to him. Like, dude, you can't cut to go? You can't cut to get to 2 yards to get the first down? Like, that's the concern about DK Metcalf is his lateral movement.
Maybe that's just football IQ that'll come along the way.
No, his agility showed that it wasn't good. I mean, he's horrible at agility.
I still think if the guy just continues to cut a little bit of weight, As the years go on, he's going to be fine.
I disagree. There's a lot of flexibility.
I didn't
things
love
that
him
gotta come
going into
play.
the season either, but
I think that
he can play in the NFL.
Josh Gordon's addition is to the detriment of DK Metcalf.
Well, yeah.
Only.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, that hurts DK a little bit, but DK wasn't a target monster to begin with.
But isn't that the benefit also?
It's a.
Does that make sense? If Gordon's going to take away the heat from Metcalf, wouldn't that be better for Metcalf to not be that guy?
I don't think so, because the Seahawks are still kind of their goal is still a run first team. I mean, Chris Carson's having a great season too.
I mean, he's averaging 6.4 yards or 6.4 targets a game. I think that goes down. I think the addition of Gordon decreases that for him. Now,
Depends on what kind of game they play the rest of the season.
Does it? I mean, we're talking about the entire season, where half of the season, Barker, is already over. They played some good defenses. They played some bad defenses.
It's not going to be that hard to continue to get DK Metcalf 6 targets a game. So listen, the Josh
So
Gordon.
are you taking away from Lockett?
No, Josh Gordon essentially could just all out replace Jerron Brown and David Moore. I mean, it's just an all out replacement. The Seahawks can, with Russell Wilson, support Lockett getting 9-10 targets a game, 6 for Gordon, 6 for Metcalf. It's doable. Absolutely doable. What is it? David Moore, probably 3 targets a game. Jerron Brown, probably 3 targets a game. Just don't mess with him. Josh Gordon all day.
Well,
we're looking at the Seahawks then, like the games where they tend to blow up. Cardinals 27 points this year, they play them again. Rams 30 points, they play them again. They just dusted the 49ers 27 points. I want to believe that they're this run-heavy team, but they're putting up points at will as well.
They are. They're a good team.
They are.
28
They're absolutely a
points
good team.
against the
They're a
Steelers.
contender.
They've thrown up 40 against the Buccaneers as well. They're not this. It's funny because like they're starting to put these points up, and it doesn't seem to be Chris Carson crossing the line. He's towing the line. He's doing the work, but it seems to be going through Lockett or Metcalf having these big games. Hollister's popping up too.
Oh yeah, Chris Carson wears them down, and then Russell Wilson strikes. It's a really good game plan right now.
Hey, they're doing a lot of things well. The only thing, the benefit to DK, I think what you were alluding to, Dan, is the coverage will go towards someone as talented as Josh Gordon. Like you can't just
That's
say.
kind of what I was getting at. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he might do more with 4 targets than he does with 6.
And Carson, whether he's the guy punching it in or not, his carries per game has not really changed.
He's been unreal.
15 to 25 all season long, never under. Chris Carson, he's solid. He is very solid.
In the words of Neil Crabtree, I'm telling you, bud. Chris Carson.
Chris Carson.
Are they moving Penny in the offseason?
I don't think they do. I mean, what reason do they have? Well, what are they going to? Oh, I'm good. What are they going to do? What can they get for Penny? I don't think anybody's going to pony up that first again.
I think they don't re-sign Carson.
Whenever
the time
I don't
comes,
believe that.
I think that it's like, well, we still got Penny on the cheap.
No, Chris Carson has earned it.
I think any running back can succeed there, and I think that's what they're proving.
Carson's earned it.
Wow. Thomas Rawls, Eddie Lacy.
Neither one of those. Neither one of those guys
talking
earned
about
it.
those guys.
They didn't. They didn't earn it. But listen, the Seahawks have been looking for a running back for so long that Chris Carson, they got one. If they're going to move Penny, fine. I'm not moving Carson, and I like Rashad Penny. I think given a different situation, I think he could be pretty good. I think if Rashad Penny was in Tampa Bay, San Francisco, Detroit, like you give him the carries, he's going to produce for you. But Chris Carson earned it, and I think they're going to reward him.
I'd like to see Penny in Atlanta.
Penny's averaging 4.
Oh, that'd be a nice spot.
Penny's averaging 4.6 yards a carry. Like they're just going to run Carson until they can just. All right, well, we're not going to sign you for big money because he's going to want it.
Hey, I would say the Eagles might get him, but they signed Jay Ajayi.
Oh, again? Seriously?
Again, yes.
I didn't see that. That's horrible.
Yes, today, Jay Ajayi, Eagles all over again. I don't know why. Is Jordan Howard hurt? I don't know.
No. Darren Sproles done.
So you bring in Jay Ajayi.
So you replace your scat back
Ugh.
with basically a slow rolling ball of sledge. Got it. Perfect sense.
Right. We got Miles Sanders. We got Jordan Howard. Both have performed pretty well. We've got who's the short dude in Philadelphia that's played okay too.
Miles Sanders.
No. They're he's got that
They're saying Donnell Pumphrey.
strange name. No.
I mean, I don't even know who's been playing in Philly.
Oh,
But-
Corey Clement.
No, he's been on IR. Hold on, I'm pulling up the
Yeah,
depth
right.
chart now. He's 5'8", little 5'8" kid, Boston Scott. So Boston Scott, a guy that they're kind of high on, but they're
They're high on everybody.
Well, I mean the kid can play too. So I don't know. Let's wrap this up.
My point is, I just can't see them paying big money for Carson, who's performed well enough to get big money.
I don't know if they have to pay him big money because the running back market is not what it used to be. Chris Carson on the free agent, line. He's not going to garner big. I got a cousin named Garner. He's not going to garner any big money anywhere, but he could be in for a running back 10 to 15 payday.
Real quick, do you have any quarterbacks that you're extremely high on?
What for the week?
DraftKings.
I like Derek Carr a ton. Anybody that plays Bengals, I'm all in.
I mean, Carr's price on DraftKings 6,100,
I'm all in. On
and
that.
he's like the 10th, 12th price quarterback. I mean, he's just below Kyler and Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, Tom Brady, Winston, Josh Allen. I mean, he's down the list a little bit, but I think his production is going to be right there, if not. Like, I can't see Carr not finishing in the top 5 in quarterback production this week.
I'll tell you one thing, Chris Carson. When you pull him up, when you Google Chris Carson, he looks dangerous. His profile, his picture, just dangerous. Like 90s rap dangerous. Just looks dangerous. He looks angry.
I gotta look this up.
He looks angry. Just Google him, Chris Carson. To the right, you see the picture. He just looks like a bad man. He looks like he'd take Myles Garrett and just drive him into the ground, hit him with his helmet.
He looks pissed off.
He looks mad. He's like, I want my money, Seahawks.
On my fantasy league, he just like, what are you looking at me for? Well, it's picture day. Take the picture and get it over with.
Picture day.
So Arms, you're looking at Derek Carr 6,100. What do you think about Haskins at 4,800? If you bang on the,
Oh God.
I'm just asking the question. If he's 4,800 and the Jets are trash,
No. That play is, I don't think
4,800 opens up a lot.
I agree 100%.
I will
And
pay that extra $1,300 or whatever.
I'm with Barker on this. Yes,
Yeah.
the matchup's the same.
The 6,100 you're going to get for either Murray, Carr, or 62 for Matt Ryan. That's enough. I don't think you need to snip any further.
Yeah, I mean,
I do like Kyle Allen at 54 though.
Oh God, here we go with Kyle Allen.
you get
No, I don't. No, I'm just saying. Like,
I'm
if
kidding.
that game
I'm
opens
kidding.
up, that could be anything. I'm not a Kyle Allen guy by any stretch, but that game could open up, and I don't know. He's not as bad as what he could be.
Right.
one thing I'll say.
That's my assessment of Kyle Allen. He's not as bad as what he could be.
One thing I'll say about the whole Carr situation, the whole Terry McLaurin situation, familiarity, always love that. I know it doesn't always translate to the NFL. It actually less than often translates to the NFL. But B, Terry McLaurin performs against bad defenses exceptionally well. He's done it over and over whenever a defense supports.
McLaurin's having a field day this week.
Yeah, he's going to ball out. He'll break 100 yards, 6+ receptions, and get in the end zone no less than one time. McLaurin is going to have a day. Now, that might be the only touchdown that Washington scores this week, but Terry McLaurin's going to get it.
Just don't know.
For the price, love him. His price is down because of Haskins, too.
Let's wrap it up. I'm sick of talking about Scary Terry. Dwayne Haskins is quarterback.
Scary Terry was like your favorite offseason receiver. And
I do. I still love the guy.
And now,
If they
now
say
you're like, I don't want to talk about it because he's got Dwayne Haskins as quarterback.
that's exactly correct.
Oh, yeah, because Case Keenum was a freaking star.
Case Keenum can get the ball to Terry McLaurin.
So can Dwayne Haskins.
The Redskins are a better team with Case Keenum at quarterback than Dwayne
Long
Haskins.
term, I disagree.
I didn't say long term. I said right now.
I also disagree right now. They've won, what, a game?
They are more competitive.
Are they?
with Case Keenum. at
Are
quarterback.
they?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Winning one game is not competitive, Barker.
Competitive is not getting blown out.
Hold on, I'm gonna look up.
I'm tired. It's
Hold on a
1:40.
second.
We're an hour and 44 minutes into the show. I don't want to talk about Dwayne Haskins.
They're competitive games.
I don't believe a damn thing
They
you're
were
saying.
competitive with the Dolphins. They were actually competitive with the Niners. It was a 9-0 game. They were competitive with the Vikings, 19-9.
You said a 9-0 game, and okay, keep going.
9-0.
Which means
It
they
was a wet
scored.
weather game.
They scored
That
no
was
points.
The downpour.
The
against
other team
Tampa.
only scored 9.
Yeah, well, the Niners had a crap ass offense then.
It was 4 weeks ago.
They did
That
not
was
have
the
Emmanuel
plot.
Sanders yet.
They scored 51 points. Like the Niners have had a good season. Here's the strange thing about it. Like the Washington Redskins have had 3 horrible matchups: the Bills, Vikings, Niners in a row. Competitive-ish in the games. The Bills kind of blew them out, 24-9. The Dolphins, they won by a point against your lowly Dolphins.
Lowly, two game win streak.
Got crushed by the Patriots, crushed by the Giants, crushed by the Bears, down by 10 against the Cowboys, and lost by 5 to the Eagles. What a great quarterback Case Keenum is.
He's better than Dwayne Haskins at this point in time.
No.
All right.
Wrong.
Dan, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. We appreciate your articles. We appreciate you on our chat, our Back Row Fantasy group that we chat in, and we just appreciate that you're Dan. And
Hey,
you're,
hold on
you're
a second.
good dude.
Before you go, can you say Christian Kirk?
No. 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 No.
No,
Who is the best receiver
on the Cardinals.
in the Cardinals right now?
Andy Isabella.
All right, who's second?
Hakeem Butler.
Third.
Larry Fitzgerald. Charles Clay. I can go all day.
Hey, hold on. Whoa. Who is the best Arizona Cardinals wide receiver from the University of Texas A&M?
I could have said Ricky Seals-Jones, but he's a Brown now, right?
Did Ricky Seals-Jones play Texas A&M?
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
Seals-Jones was at A&M, yeah.
You got me on that one.
That was nice on the fly. I like that.
Christian Kirk. There we go.
Hey.
What a
I mean, even us Americans, you say Christian Kirk, it still sounds like what Dan just said.
It sounded like Kirk that time. But
It-
the last
100%.
time, I'm like, Cook?
You have to just entertain our feeble Southern Ohio minds.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Oh, I'm a dumb redneck.
It's not an Ohio thing, man. I've been in entertaining minds for the past 9 years out here, so it's not a...
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like I really just want to travel to a foreign country so people can marvel at me, just for all the times that I may
No one is
marvel at
ever
someone
going to
else.
marvel at
no
you.
one's ever heard an American in any other country. So
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not like I used to work at a place and I had a customer from Australia, super nice dude. Well, no, he's kind of an asshole. The more I think about it.
Was his name Dan Rozier?
No, it was not. But
No.
he always smelled like cat pee. I don't remember the guy's
Because he was
name.
cooking meth.
I don't know. I don't know. But it's not like you're the only guy from down under that I know. That's not true. I've listened to Silverchair for years.
What's
there we go.
And what's our other band we share in common, Dan? Dang it.
AC/DC?
No, punk band, Dan. I'm drawing a blank just because I've had a few.
Pennywise?
No, we like Pennywise, but the Australian punk band.
Oh, the Living End?
There we go, Living End. Yes.
Yeah. Not bad. Some Grinspoon, they're pretty good. Jebediah, they're all right as well. They're pretty good.
You'll have to send me those ones because I haven't listened to them. So.
Hey, Dan,
they're
by
all
the
right.
way, Metallica's better than AC/DC.
Yeah, wow.
He's like, yeah, well, you're wrong.
I must be the wrong one.
Yeah. Okay, so in this instance,
I always hit
and
that
I'll let
beat
you,
button
I'll let
first.
you two decide this. Metallica is Case Keenum, and AC/DC is Dwayne Haskins. Figure that one out.
Yeah.
Wait, who do you
Who do you
take?
want? Pick your poison.
So you're a big fan of Case Keenum, is what you're telling me. You think he's league MVP?
No, I'm all on Dwayne Haskins, I think. But no, that's not a good one. But that's also, I think, in Derek Carr's better than Dak Prescott too. I don't know how that one ended up, but
Hey, this year I think Carr recently has been much
Quarterback rating, if you want to judge it off that. Hey, we need to end this one. We're 11 and a half minutes shy of 2 hours, and that's just too damn long. Dan, thanks for joining us tonight.
it has been fantastic. Good to talk to you guys again.
Always great to talk to you. We love you, Dan. We will see you in the chat room, and folks, we will see you in a week.
Good night.
Peace.
This concludes another episode of the Back Row Fantasy Show. Thanks for listening, and be sure to give us a review.
Thanks, Dan.
That was fun.
Oh, yeah. Always is. If only you could be sitting here in person with us.
Oh man, I'm gonna try and get out there. I'll tell you that much.
Maybe one day,
I'll try and get out there.
or maybe the opposite. Maybe we end up in, the Big Apple. I know you don't live
Yeah.
exactly in New York City, but you know what I mean.
No, everything. I'm out in Queens. So I'm only about 10 minutes out of the city, so
Yeah.
it's all good. I work in the city too, so it's kind of fun. But
Yeah.
Still good.
One day, one way or
I
another.
saw that episode. Bauer looked like he had the time of his life out there. So, see some more of the country. I don't mind coming out to Ohio. That'd be fun.
Not a
I'm
lot.
actually. It's fun.
Not a lot to see,
to.
Dan. Not a lot
That's
to see.
all right. Everyone claps out everywhere, man. I'm all right. I'll check out Ohio. I've been to a few pretty bad places. It can't be that bad, can it?
No, I guess not. It's just a little boring, but the scenery's not so bad.
It was funny. We did. I don't know why I didn't bring it up, but we didn't. Every year, I was just looking at it before. I try to go to one game a year, but I try not to go to a Giants game. I try to go to like a different stadium, watch a different game, whatever.
That's a pretty good plan.
Yeah, see different stadiums, see different teams. Giants are the Giants, whatever. But anyway,
They're on their way. They're one. They're a good
they're
draft
fine.
away.
Like I've seen it. Been to the Tampa Stadium. I've been to the Cowboys Stadium. That's pretty bananas. I'm looking at like games, and I just saw the game on Monday night. And that's the Kansas LA game out in Mexico. And I'm telling you, Melvin Gordon's going bonkers this week. And I don't know, I didn't mention it, but
He's coming on.
I reckon that stadium out there has to be freaking crazy.
Yeah, he is
That's
coming
gonna
on. Melvin Gordon looked good last week.
7,000 on DraftKings as well. That's nothing.
Oh,
Yeah, I would buy that.
For what he's been. Can you unmute me?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What Derrick Henry did last
There you
week,
go.
man.
No,
Dude, Derrick Henry
what
has not
Melvin
been a
Gordon did,
disappointment.
No, he's been great.
What was that?
He's been,
I dropped the bottle. I was trying to put the cap on.
Oh,
yeah, no, that was. I'm trying to get out of there. So Bauer looked like he had the time of his life. He's in Philly, right?
Who is it?
Bauer's out in Philly, right?
Oh yeah, Bauer.
Close
area.
to.
Yeah.
Whereabouts is he? Because I got family out there.
I don't know what town he lives in. I don't know where he's at over there.
Yeah, so I've had family that moved out to the US in like 92. So I've got heaps of family out in Philly. I've got to sort that out, but that's kind of halfway in between. I hate Philly. Philly's the worst.
yeah.
Philly-
A lot of people
Philly
say that.
sucks, man. Philly sucks. The city is just shit.
I've never even been to Pennsylvania.
Oh man, I got family out in was it Harrisburg and Aston. Aston's about 20 out of the city, and there's nothing worse. Philly is just the worst.
You said Austin
There's-
is terrible?
No, Philly.
Oh, I thought you said
Philly. Austin's great.
Okay,
No.
I was about to say I have a buddy that I grew up with that loves Austin, but mostly because of the music scene. But he loved it.
Yeah, it's so Dallas was about. I was in Dallas. Philly's Austin's about 3 hours southeast or something like that, and it's just the new Silicon Valley, man. It's all tech. It's all college. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just tech and college. That's it. There's
Dude,
nothing else.
One thing I love, and I'm not a tech guy, but Bark, you were saying about the music scene, like, dude, I love live music.
I know, me too.
Like,
I wish I could go see more, but when you start pushing the upper 30s, you just don't have the time.
no, I mean, even local live music. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I love watching it whenever I can, you know?
Indeed.
Dallas used to have that everywhere, man. Dallas was sick for that. And the food was just mental, too. Dallas is,
God, I want a burger so fucking bad right now.
dude, Dallas, the food out in Dallas, man, it
I'm
is.
hungry.
It sucks coming back to New York because it's like pizza and bagels and that's it. The food out here kind of is shit. But like out there, like it's fucking outrageous. It's fucking nuts, man. It's so good. Burgers out there, the ribs out there, it's just nuts. It's and everyone's moving there. It's a crazy city. But so Bauer went out for like the Northwest thing, right? Is that what he did?
Bauer
No.
didn't come to the Midwest Expo.
No, he'll be there next year. He'll be there next. What we go? What
I
did
would-
we go?
I would-
July, August?
I'm not even kidding. So this was the plan. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. When that was on, I was meant to move from Dallas back to New York, and my brother was looking at a road trip. We were going to head up to Chicago and then cut out to Ohio. So we were going to pop up.
Dude, I'd die to
But
meet you, Dan.
Huh?
I want to meet everybody
no.
we've met on this journey, like you, Chris. I mean,
Absolutely.
we've met Bauer, but I mean, I'd love to meet Stoops one day.
You,
I mean, why not eventually?
I must have lived about 2 hours away from Stoops, and I can't believe I never met up with him.
Yeah.
Like, it does my head in that I didn't. It would have been so fucking easy because he would have done it too.
Oh, he would have absolutely.
Yeah, it would have been awesome. But maybe I'll hook up with Bauer, and I'll try and come out with him.
Bauer's a really good dude.
well, I mean, what we could do,
No, he is. Just a shame he's from Philly.
we're trying to organize a get together, man. Maybe you could make it.
Yeah, like the kind of the beginning part of for next year.
So, what do you do anyway?
What do I do for
Like,
a living?
what do you pay the bills with?
Dude, I used to be a personal trainer. I know you'll find that funny because your brother does that, right?
Ish. Like, he doesn't personal train. He's a speed and agility coordinator. I mean, it's a little different. He's not about getting people, you know.
He does performance-based stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not about getting
Yeah, so
people
what's going on?
bulked. He's about getting people to be able to cut, more or less.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, so I was doing that until I moved from Dallas to back to New York. So I work for the, I basically gave in, and I work for the wife's family now. So they work in. You guys been in New York before?
I've never.
No, me neither.
So there's an area called the Diamond District. That's where all the jewelry and all that sort of stuff is. They have a showroom in there, and essentially what they do is they sell the tools and chemicals to like all the people who make jewelry and all that sort of crap. So
Really?
So if you buy like your wife a ring from Tiffany guys that buy the product, they buy it from us. So it's like the chemicals, the tools, the settings, and all that sort of stuff. So they take our stuff and put together or fix whatever they have and put their stuff together and sell it. So I've never bought a ring at cost price. It's fantastic. It's amazing.
Hook a brother up.
I always thought that jewelry was such a fucking ripoff. Anyways, like I wouldn't pay 1/10 of what it. Like, ugh.
Have you heard of Moissanite? This is fucking crazy, right? So Moissanite is diamond, right? I don't know about this because when I first got here, and it has the same cut and same clarity as diamond, and diamond jewelers can't tell the difference. So there are people now that are buying diamonds for like 30, like say a 5 carat for 35, 40 grand, and it depends if they go into a shonky dealer, they're getting done because that ring might be that diamond might be worth about 2.5.
Oh wow!
So it's a lab made diamond, not one made from like natural whatever.
Right.
I do know
people
they've
are-
been doing a lot of lab made shit, and that's what
been
concerns me.
That's killing the industry.
Yeah.
So all the lab made stuff's been killing everyone because it's cutting the price of everything. So
Super.
people basically dropping out.
Super
Crazy.
glad that my wife doesn't care about jewelry.
Yeah, as I said, I got lucky because my wife's in the industry and she just doesn't give a shit. So she was like, it doesn't matter to me because like I'm the only one that has to know, and I'm like, no, we'll do it right. But
Absolutely. I mean, it's like buying a knockoff Michael Kors bag. Like, who gives a shit?
oh man, I'd tell her that it was like the first time I came to New York, or second time, and she was showing me around, and we went down to Chinatown or something, and it was like a shoe store. I was like, okay, so I'm in the shoe store. She's looking for shoes, and they say, okay, follow us. And we go into the back, and it was like a bag store, like off the truck proper like Chanel, like proper stuff. The same like stitching, like she knew what to look for. And a bag that was worth about $5,000, they were getting out the back of a showroom for 500. It was the craziest thing I'd seen. I'm like, I can't believe we're going to get stung here. Like I could feel it. Like I could feel like a raid was coming. No, we were fine, but that's everywhere.
Scary.
No, it was. I didn't know what the hell she was doing. Whatever. But you do anything on vacation, I guess. But
how did you and your wife meet, Dan?
The truth?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't want to lie.
Tinder.
So I came out here on vacation with two of my buddies because I was forced to take leave from work because back home you get paid leave. And if you don't take it, after a while, they make you take it. So they told me to go away. I was like, all right. So I had a month up my sleeve to go away. And we were meant to go Japan, Korea, but they had the tsunami. So, 100,000 people died. They moved my ticket to like New York or LA, sorry. So we went to LA, ended up in Vegas. Vegas, we ended up at the back of spring break to Miami, which was absolute accident.
Vegas. Love Vegas.
Yeah, it was, for what it was, man, it was just brutal. I ended up on an airfield at one point. That was fun. Didn't know how I did that. But we were in Miami. And we had nowhere to go. I had family in Philly, but my family weren't in town, so we had to find a place to go for a few days. We ended up in New York, and we were right in the middle of Times Square, and it turned out the hotel was opposite where my wife's showroom was, which is just creepy as hell. And I met her on the first night at a bar at about midnight, and that was it. We spent the next week together. We pretty much inseparable, but then I ended up going to Philly to see my family. And this sounds funny. The two dudes I was with, one of my mates was hooking in with a bird from LA. He flew back to LA or San Diego. He went to go surfing with her. The other dude actually, funnily enough, has family at the back of Ohio on a farm somewhere. So he fucked off to Ohio. So I was in Philly and I was like, well, I've got nowhere else to go. So she says, come back to New York, spent a few more days with her. Then I flew her to LA and then that was it. I went back to Melbourne. I was living in Melbourne at the time. And then she flew out about 6 weeks later and we were engaged about a week later after that.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
We spent about 14 days total together before we were engaged.
So how long have you guys been together now?
We met in 2011.
Worked out.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. The hardest thing was like the citizenship, everything. Like she was great, but the citizenship and all that sort of shit was tough. But it's cool, man. We got a couple of kids and it's good. Everything's good. We came back to New York, which was great. That's where the family is. And my brother actually lives in Miami, which is great. So it's easier for him to get to us.
So how much family do you have back in Australia?
Oh, everyone. Everyone's there but my brother. So my brother lives in Miami. He was living in London. So my brother was a professional soccer player. He played in the Premier League and all that sort of shit. So for a Premier League team.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. So there's a team called Southampton. They're not doing too well. But he basically moved out of home at 16 to go play overseas. It's crazy. So he was one of those kids. But he was over there.
Willingly or not willingly?
Well, willingly.
No. Basically, so there was like all these tournaments that they play, and scouts were all over the world back in Australia looking at him, and then he had about 7 or 8 offers to go to Europe, and he went there. That's where he went. He could have gone to Leeds United, Aston Villa. There was a London-based team that might have been Fulham. And then there was a couple teams in Europe. So there was a couple Dutch teams, a Spanish team, and a French team that were after him. So he could have gone anywhere, really, but he chose them. But yeah, he was living over there, and he just moved into Miami because his work sent him out there, which is perfect for me.
So what does he do? What does he do in Miami?
Fucking boring shit. He works in importing and exporting, funnily enough. He works for an electrical company. So you know all the cruise liners out there? So like based out of Miami. Yeah, so basically his company in England, so all the cruises that were there in Europe, you can imagine through like Amsterdam, Spain, wherever the fuck, they would deck out all the cruise liners or ships and all the dockyards with all the electrical goods. So you think of like hypothetically one chandelier on a cruise, they deck it out with the light fixtures and the lighting and the cables and everything. There's 100, 200, 300 chandeliers on a cruise. They do all that. So he basically works in the importing for that and make sure they have stock. So that's what he was doing in England. And then they opened up a division in Miami, and because I was out here, they were like, "Do you want to go?" And he's like, "If you pay me, well, I'll go." Because he had, he's been in England. He was in England longer than he was in Australia.
Wow.
So he was more English in Australia. So he was living in England. He's a year or so older than me. So he was there longer. So he felt more British. So for him to live in England, he wasn't really comfortable. He had houses and shit. So but, they ended up moving him out to Miami, and they paid him a bit more, and his wife moved out there too. So, but they live out in Coral Gables, which is cool because it's kind of in the middle of everything. But I've got an uncle. I've got I had a cousin that went to Penn State. He was on the rugby team, and crazy. So
I know home is probably home, but like everywhere that you have lived, what's your preference?
Hello.
Oh man, now it's New York.
Yeah.
Right now, yeah.
But I lived in Sydney, Melbourne, Dallas, and New York.
Check with Lainey, make sure she hasn't.
I love New York's home. It sucks because my kids were born in Dallas, so they're Texans. So that's pretty funny. But
double check
New York's where after a while we were like, we need to go back. We kind of felt it too. Like my wife's a New Yorker, born and bred, so technically she wasn't born in America, but that's not the point.
Right.
She was born in Israel or something. So
it's a bunch of daggone immigrants. Sorry.
Yeah, man, we're just taking over the country. That's so funny, man. I did my citizenship and I got all that, and I had to do like a speaking test, a writing test, a reading test, a history test. It was mental, like going to like.
How the hell did you pass the speaking test? I'm just joking.
No, what I want to know is
I adore your accent.
how you pass a history test,
dude. They give you 100 questions.
You probably know more about American history than I do.
Actually, he probably does.
Like, it's funny when they say that. Like they're like, you got to know more than most people in this country will, because they do the same test at like high schools, right? And kids fail it, but they only give you 10 questions. They just want to make sure that you've got your like head in the right place, that you've done the work, that you've actually given a shit for a moment. But they give it. There's 100 questions, and then you have to answer 10, and then it's reading, writing, and speaking. So it was insane. So I was in Dallas when that happened. It was about, they call it a graduation. So there were 2 graduations a week in Dallas, and there were 200 people in a class. So that's 400 people a week. That's about 1,600 a month in Dallas alone that are getting naturalized to become Americans. And I'd say out of the 200 in my class, 160 were Mexican. It was insane. It was mental. The quinceañeras and all that sort of shit. It was just fucking everywhere. But it was incredible. But
so granted, the speaking part probably was no issue because it's not like you speak a foreign language. So
I was a breath of fresh air. Yeah, no, that was what that was. But no, New York's home. I didn't like it when I first came here because I just thought people were pricks.
Yeah,
people where I'm from are very laid back, like really laid back people. And you come to New York and it's just the worst. And then I think when I first came here, it was like Hurricane Sandy. I was like, what the fuck's a hurricane? and then the next winter was like the polar vortex. It was like 9 months of winter. It was like, what the fuck is going on here?
that would be eye opening.
Yeah, and then in between that time, I actually had back surgery as well. I had spinal fusion too. So like I was just fucking miserable between hurricanes, back surgeries, fucking polar vortex. I was like, I get the fuck out of here. So. It wasn't a good start, let me tell you, because, the place to come here when you're visiting, you're on vacation and you stay in a hotel, like everything's fucking cool in the gang. But then after a while, you're like, when you move here, you're like, what the fuck? The people are the worst. Like, I just hated it. But now, like, I work in a warehouse, man. I fuck around with boxes. I help the family's business. It's fine. You got to work. You got to work hard, but to be honest with you, like I wanted to do this when I first moved here, and they're like, "You're gonna fucking hate us all if you do." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe I was too young back then. I don't know. I would have been about 27, 28 when I moved here." So,
how old are you?
Just turned 35.
Same. I'm about to turn 36.
Yeah. I'm an 84 guy, so I'm an October 84 guy. So
fuck you both.
Hey, when's your birthday in October?
16.
16th. I think my nephew's is the 16th.
Yeah. No, it's cool, man. It was cool, but it's cool to be back here. And, as I said, like, it's a shame because we booked that trip to Australia, like, because I was there and went early September, and that's when the Northwest thing was, right? It was late August. Why do I feel like it was late August?
It was September, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like
The
September
Midwest
18th.
Expo? I thought it was September.
God, I don't remember at this point.
I want
Yeah,
because
so-
it was. I think it was beginning of September because I had vacation time. If you recall, I was supposed to be
Yeah.
in Florida, and then I canceled the Florida trip not because of the expo, but because of work. But I was able to make the expo.
You go to Florida a lot, right?
My brother lives in Panama City Beach, so
Whereabouts is that? Because we go to Sarasota all the time.
Panhandle.
Panhandle. Oh, so that's a bit further north, right?
Yeah. So the narrowest spot in the Gulf. Like so you've been to Miami. I've never been to Miami. I'm assuming Miami's a lot like Puerto Rico, very clear water, very pristine looking as far as the water goes.
It still looks like Scarface, man.
Okay, then that's good.
The water, yeah, it's okay.
So in where we're from, a lot of people go to like Myrtle Beach, which is North Carolina. Or no, Myrtle Beach,
In the
South
Outer
Carolina.
Banks, right? They go to the Outer Banks.
Yeah, the Outer
too,
Banks,
right?
and dude, it's dirty as hell. It's disgusting. Like the
Yeah,
water.
the beaches in America aren't great, man. I can honestly say that. That's been the struggle. But we
They are not.
yeah, we go to Sarasota and Siesta Keys.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. We got a place down there.
The Keys.
We go down there. We go down there a few times a year, and it's just sensational. It's actually it's about an hour south of Tampa.
That's where I got married. Was Key West.
We should all get together. I mean, seriously, I'm not trying to plan anyone's vacation, but
No, I want to get out there. As I said, if you're talking to Bauer about it, let me know because I'll try and hook up with him and come out with him.
oh no,
'Cause
that
you drive, right?
oh yeah, no, we're all gonna drive, and I think it's basically gonna be a midway point. I mean, I think you're you're New York City, right?
10 minutes from.
Queens is like 5 minutes out, 5-10 minutes out of the city. It's really not.
Listen, brother,
You get to Jersey-
from where
you
we're
get to
from,
Jersey,
5 or 10
Jersey
minutes
takes
is literally the same city. Like, as far as we're concerned, you say
True.
Queens, we think it's New York City, but
No, yeah, it essentially is. So I work in the city and I work about 10, 15 minutes from home. So it's nothing, man. It's a 15, 20 minute commute. By train, it's 20 minutes to get from my house to the city. It's nothing.
I think the goal is for us to meet halfway-ish.
Which
Where
may
would
only
that-
end up being like 4 hours for you. Maybe.
Yeah, 3 or 4 hours for everybody, honestly.
Where would
I
that
think
be?
so. Oh man, some weird ass place in Pennsylvania.
Oh, fuck it. They're all weird ass places.
Amish town, Pennsylvania.
I'll tell you a story. Let me tell you a story. I went to Philadelphia one night. That was when we first came out here. It was me and my two buddies. We don't know where we're going. We're at Barnaby's. You know what Barnaby's is? That's the place where that dude from Jackass died.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were at that bar, right? And we've gone to people. Hey, how do we get back to like my uncle's house? Because we just figure everyone knows everyone. And then I just walk down that road for 2 miles. There's the problem. 1, it's 3 a.m. 2, we don't have data. We don't have cell data on our phones. And 3, we don't know how far a mile is. So we start walking down this road at 2 a.m. We end up at like a mum and pop garden center. And we're sitting on like bags of fertilizer on this mum and pop garden center. We're calling numbers on this phone to see if someone comes out. 3 cars come screaming at us, lights beaming on it. We start running the cars. We figure someone's picked it up and they're picking us up. We find these little red dots on our shirts. They have fucking taser guns because the cops were going to knock us down.
Wow.
They thought we were trying to steal fertilizer because fertilizer is an active ingredient making a home bomb, which they had problems with apparently over the past month while we were there. So that's what I think of Philadelphia. They can get fucked. They put us in the back of a paddy wagon, took us to my uncle's place.
Wow.
Because we didn't know what the fuck was going on. That's Philadelphia to me. So Philadelphia, I'm telling you, man, the fucking outside of Wawa and hot dogs, Philadelphia's the fucking worst.
Brother, if you came down here,
We thought we were fucking dead.
you
we
would
didn't know what the fuck
you would
was going
come
on.
into
That'd be
the
terrifying.
you'd be coming to
Dude,
the
that's
the
shut
most ultimate culture shock.
Oh God.
Like, and I hate to
on.
use
I
the
like
term
that a lot.
cool, but like me and Barker are kind of the cool ones. Like we get along with.
Are we?
Get along with everybody though.
Oh yeah.
Like-
I understand, and I hated it when I first got here, but I'm a fucking novelty, and I'm going to be a novelty for the rest of my life, and I get it. But when I first got here, I fucking hated it. I turn up to work, my first day of work, some dickhead left a Thor hammer on my desk. I was like, what is this? Like, this is,
I wish someone would leave the fucking Mjolnir on my desk.
Oh man.
dude, I get it. Like, maybe it was their way of saying welcome, but I was looking around going, who the fuck? I worked at that one, so I was like a fitness manager in New York for a while. I was running like Times Square. For about a year and a half, I didn't know who the fuck it was. I didn't know. No one, they didn't give anyone up. No one snitched. And I kept like every day I must have questioned someone, who left it here?
I mean,
who was it?
You seem to be in pretty good shape. You're like picking people up by the neck. Was it you? Was it you?
It was just one of those things. I knew that to the day that I left the hammer in there. So I hope the next person that took over from me was like, why the fuck is there a Thor hammer here? No, I get it. I can go anywhere, man. I've traveled far enough throughout this country is really fucking cool. That's the problem. Most people here don't know how cool this fucking place is.
Yeah,
and it's the places that you don't go to, man.
I'll tell
That's
you.
the scary.
I hear that a lot, but I never knew exactly how true it was.
If it wasn't for meth, like meth ruins Portland, but Portland is fucking incredible.
I've got one of my buddies live in Portland.
It's ridiculously beautiful, man. It's a beautiful place. I had one of my clients back in Melbourne. He was a punter for Oregon State, so we flew out to watch him. So we went out to a game, and that prick didn't tell me he got benched. So he was like the placeholder for field goals and shit. He didn't want to tell us. He was too embarrassed. So we flew all the way out there for fucking nothing. But
except for you got to watch an Oregon State game.
Dude, no. Let me tell you something. They had a fucking solid team. They had Sean Mannion, who was like a Pac-12 passing leader. They had Brandon Cooks.
I'm familiar with all of them. Sean Mannion, yeah. Brandon Cooks, perennial 1,000-yard receiver. Absolutely, I know him.
No, but like for college, those guys were going nuts. They went like that was the 1 year they went off. They had Jaquiz Rogers, who was going nuts as well.
Arms loves
Jaquiz. That was terrible.
They had his brother, and I can't remember his son. Obviously, something was like, is it Jacob?
Same name. Yeah, it's like the same name. It's crazy. He was there too. He was there. He finished like a year or two earlier, right?
I think Jaquiz came out a year before him.
Whatever, man. They were good. They were a good team too. They were fun to watch, but we flew all the way out to Oregon to watch a night game. They played Utah State, and I think Amir Abdullah played.
Ooh,
so it's crazy.
No. Amir Abdullah was a Nebraska guy.
True.
Whoever it was, whoever the fuck it was.
But they may have played Nebraska because, I mean, Nebraska would have been a premier matchup for them. Anyhow, go ahead.
It was like a primetime game. It was a blackout game, so everyone was in black. It was sick. It was one of those things. That was like the first college game I went to. That was kind of cool. I've been to a couple, but like Portland is incredible. It's ridiculously good. Nashville is insane.
I will tell you, I absolutely prefer the college game. To watch live, it's not even close to being close. I would go.
Yeah, I've been to some shocking games, man. It's great. I've been to a UNT game. I couldn't tell you who they played against. It was terrible. And I went to it was a birthday present. We live in New York. It was when Manziel and Mike Evans were going nuts for A&M, right?
Yeah.
So my wife's going, I got us tickets to go see Manziel play out in Texas. We're going to fly out for your birthday. I'm like, that's fucking cool. So we flew out to Austin. We go out to Texas. We're driving around. Pass me the address. I don't give a shit. So we're driving out the back of Austin somewhere, and like we get to this game, and I'm like, something's not right here. And it was like fucking Texas State Bobcats game. So she got me like,
we spent $5,000 to go watch a fucking University of Northern Texas.
It was fucking mental. It was like homecoming as well. So like it was tardy as fuck. It was cold as shit. The lady sitting next to us had like a drip next to her. She was throwing up. She was sick. Like she was someone's sick aunt or something, but she was like throwing up everywhere. Like half time, I'm like, we got to go. We got to leave.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, this is nice. The thought was nice. It's fucking cool. We're out in the middle of nowhere watching a nowhere team, but the high school games out in Texas were fucking crazy too.
I've heard.
Yeah.
40,000 seater stadiums. It was crazy.
So we come from what is considered a football town in Ohio. Oh, yeah. And like realistically, we'll get 10,000 people. Like most games are going to have between 6 and 7, but our rival games are going to have 10,000 people. And we've had one of the coaches that I had my senior year. I transferred schools, went to the bigger school around, and the coach, his daughter was dating a guy that played football in Texas, and he came up. He was like, and as far as everyone ever around knew, he's like, everyone knew Jackson was the football town. So he was like, yeah, I mean, you guys are pretty intense. So we get out. He's watching practice, watching how we hit, watching the way we play, watching way we go through things, scrimmages, the whole nine. He was like, man, I can't wait to see like the game. Like this is crazy. Like you guys are. It's similar to Texas football up here. Then we get to a game, first game, and dude's on the sidelines. He's a great guy. I don't remember his name, but he's a great guy. But he's like, is this and by the way, that season 3 of the starters for the other team, I was one of them. So it was a rivalry game for one school, and the other school was like, this is a victory. But 3 of us went to the crosstown rival, so to speak. 10,000 people would show up, and he's like, this is a rivalry game? We're like, oh yeah, this is the biggest rivalry we got. I mean, everyone from this town hates us. And they're like, he's like, oh,
this is it. Yeah.
He's like, this is kind of like, kind of a gimme game whenever back home. I'm like, oh no, you don't understand. But I mean, more people in totality love that sport in each town there.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you want to talk about talent? I'll put Ohio, just Ohio in general. I mean, you have to understand what's came from Ohio. Ben Roethlisberger, Ohio. Kareem Hunt's an Ohio guy. I mean, I'll take Ohio talent versus anybody. But Ohio, Texas, and Florida, and California. Like, that's it. Other than that, there's...
Really? California?
Yeah.
Volume, brother. The volume.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I mean, the people who
USC, Cal.
But when you're talking about high school teams, they had Mater D, Long Beach Poly Cal Mater D. Dude, that team went on legit like 180 game winning streak.
Yeah, we used to have out in Dallas, man. They'd have it was crazy, man. So they'd have the gym that I worked at. You guys would know of Equinox. Maybe not.
What's Equinox?
That was the company I worked for.
Okay, no, we.
Okay,
I've lifted in a gym that's about 30 by 40 for about 22 years, bro.
This place, think Globo Gym. That was the mock, right? Globo Gym. So we're talking like we used to have Romo, Troy Aikman. They'd be members of our gym. We had the Housewives of Dallas. They'd be members of our gym.
Okay,
it's crazy.
Something
right?
like in the United States, I guess in the United States, my brother used to work for Parisi.
Why is that? Okay.
Parisi's it's a speed and agility. Like the top 10 times in the NFL Combine ever in the 40, like 8 of them were Parisi guys.
Wow. Yeah, no, we didn't have that. We were basically like the place where you go and get your hair and nails done and you maybe walk on a treadmill or something. That's the sort of place that was like fancy, expensive, high-end shit. But it would be like on a Friday night and the college games would be the high school games would be on television. Everyone's watching. Everyone's in high school colors. I'm talking like grown-ass adults still. And then you go to any bar down the road and they're all fucking chugging beers watching high school football. It was fucking crazy.
I wish they had it on TV here. Dude,
high school games broadcast, it's mental. You see these kids playing at like AT&T Stadium. That's not even a joke. And they've got their own. So I've done the Cowboys, in Dallas. It's a hub for Australians. So like when they get to America, they either go through LA or Dallas. So my mates, anytime they'd come out, they'd want to go to. There's only like a handful of teams people support back home. It's like the Packers, the Patriots, the 49ers, and the Cowboys.
So not the Raiders is what you're telling me.
No, not really, because you gotta understand.
That's England.
You get maybe that's Richie, yeah.
Yeah.
But we get maybe one game a year back home, and that was the Super Bowl. We wouldn't get games, so the teams that you'd watch would be those teams like in the 90s where you get that one game that dominated. So it'd be like those.
That's cold as fuck. Just pointing out how few Super Bowls the Raiders have been in since the 80s.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? So like, no one back home. I didn't watch it. My roommate, he was a Cowboys fan, and like the second game of football I ever watched was when my wife came to visit, and the Giants beat the Patriots like 6, 7, or 10 years ago. That was like the second game I'd ever seen.
sorry, dude.
Because like the games are too slow. The advertising sucks. You don't understand what they're talking about. You don't get the hype. The game's slow.
Yeah,
Because footy back home is non-stop for 40 minutes a half. So like when you have a break, like it's hard to watch. Like when you don't watch football or the NFL, it's hard to watch if you've never watched it before. Because you're like, why the fuck are they stopping? Why is there a commercial timeout? Why? That makes no sense. Like all these things, like when you're not from this place, you've never watched the game. It's hard to explain. We had like a guy that was playing for like Washington or someone who was a punter. I forget what his name was, but he'd be like commentating the games, and you want a punter commentating games, like it's fucking terrible. So like everyone's back home with that. So dudes would come out to Dallas. They want to do they want to do like the stadium tour. So like you go down Cowboy Stadium, it's like one of the lower levels, and they have about 20 to 30 different teams for college and high school only for end zone like turf. So if you were at Denton, there was Denton turf at one end. They had that ready to go for the school colors and all that sort of shit. It was fucking crazy.
Seriously.
But that alone, the attention to detail that they have just for like a home game for high school, just in case like one of the local teams gets into like something, that would be it. But like that's the turf itself. Like just think about that. 30 different high school and colleges just in case. Just so they could broadcast at AT&T for a high school game. It's crazy. This time of year, it's going nuts. It'll be everywhere on television. And they've got their own TV channels. They've got their own TV channels for it and shit down there.
Oh, that guy told me, he was like, he's like, it's nuts because we didn't have anything. I mean, we had our jumbotron, so to speak. It displayed the score, the quarter, and like it was LED, not LED. What's word? It's
fine.
The red dot shit. You know, I mean, it might have some generic advertisement, but you're not going to be able to watch like a replay on it. And he's like, "Oh," I'm like,
"We got TVs and shit."
Like, what do you mean? Oh, like, dude, we're top of the line around here. Like, we're a perennial playoff contender. And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, like."
It's cute,
yeah. And our divisions are backwards, so their Division 1's trash. Our Division 1 is top of the line up here. So they look at it, they're like, well, you know, that's like a division. You know, they do, I think, 6A down there. And I'm like, well, whatever, you know, 6A, whatever. So that's Division 6 for me. And we're looking at it backwards. He's like, it's Division 3 stuff for us. I'm like, Division 3? Hell, we're Division 2 school here. So, hey, I got to bounce. I hate to run, Dan. My ride's here, and I don't drink and drive anymore. So appreciate talking to you, brother. Dude, honestly, this has been great. I haven't talked to you this much ever, so it's good to get to know you a little bit more, man. Seriously.
I can't wait. We'll do this more.
Oh, no doubt. Seriously,
keep
no
me in
doubt.
the loop with that, because if there's something like you're gonna hook up with Bauer, let me know, because I can do that. Like if it's 3 or 4 hours away, that's easy. But I'm down.
Should be that.
It shouldn't be long. I'll be honest with you, but man, I'm willing to go the extra hour if you're going to be involved there as well.
Yeah, just as I said, like it's because we used to have a place up in. We used to actually have a place in the. Well, I say we. My wife's family had a place up in the Poconos, and it was sick. And that was like 3.5 hours away from here. They sold it, unfortunately. I was like, man, this time of year would be pretty badass to get some people out there. But you know, it's keep me in the loop with Bauer, because I'm down to do that. I'll come out for that. That's easy.
That sounds great. Is he in the other chat? He's in both chats, isn't he?
No, we have the.
We've got to get him in the other chat.
Yeah,
add him to the other chat. I don't know why I don't know why. That's the reason why. I'll share something, then I'll say something. This is repetitive, and I'm sure you and Foster are like, "What the fuck is he talking about?" But, hey, man,
I get that a lot, man. Half the chats for fantasy, it's just I don't know whether to use GroupMe or the Facebook page now. I'm just
I know.
Facebook page all the way.
Sucks.
Facebook page all the way.
I blame Frank for everything. That guy fucked everything.
He fucked it all.
Fucking Frank. God damn it, Frank. All right, brother. Man, it's been great great talking to you. Feels like I was seeing you. Hey, can you send me a picture of your long hair? Do you still have that?
I have long hair.
Oh God.
I tie it back. I'm one of those guys. It's probably.
So you have a twat knot.
Me so horny.
I wish I didn't, man. It goes one of two ways. It either goes back or it goes up, and I can't get away. I'm not young. I used to have an afro, but I can't do that anymore.
No in between.
I need. Will you please tweet me a picture of that? Please?
I can't because that will go out. So no.
Will you DM me the picture? 'Cause I won't share it. I promise.
Well, I won't lie. If you do the work, you can go for it. But there is a photo deep into one of my photo albums on Facebook where I might have had a gold afro when I was 18.
Okay, I will be researching that tonight.
Might have.
If you delete that, I'll be sorely disappointed.
That would have been 17, 18-year-old Dan in his finest.
All right, man, bro. It's good talking to you, brother.
Same.
Have a good one, guys.
My old ass is going to bed.
All right, see ya.
Yeah.
Bye, Dave.
Cheers, guys.
Dude, he's the best.
Dan is.
That was
He's the most fun.
incredibly enjoyable conversation.
Always is. Dan's just a good dude to talk to. Let's
love that
see. Stop streaming. Where's the stop streaming?